good time skanking, man. Me I tell you them little tune there from them time there. Okay, so we up on the Wednesday, the eve of Rebel Salute. Big show. 2 day. Reggae music. Continuously. We will be there. We will be hosting one of the night them too. We hear that a lot of people is here. A lot of people is here. We give thanks to hear that because you know say right now the music I'm here talk about authentic. Because you have some show I keep you know, and I tell you it not do nothing for help the music in its upliftment. It come like a match down and broke down business are go on. And people are glorify in the match down and broke down. I don't know how people can look upon mediocrity and I go on like say something relevant. The thing just gone. And we are intelligent people. Well, we never say them intelligent. We see people who are supposed to be intelligent. I go on like say it's something magnificent and beautiful that take place. When really and truly the music are broke down. And some of them show you help to broke it down too. Some of these shows help to broke down the thing. That is why I say the biggest selling group them right now is groups outside of Jamaica will never come to Jamaica yet. Some white people. Because them take the authentic version of the music and just duplicate it and just gone out there with it now and boom. Meanwhile we there so a praise and a yell up mediocrity. We have praise and a yell up stupidity, ignorance. Make people who ignorant and upon the voyage of stupid become heroes and celebrities. I refuse to make a man turn my head and make me start to believe say foolishness are beauty and dirt is stupid is beautiful. I refuse to listen to any artist who are going like them are idiots and stupid. Make me feel like say yes, at that figure or at that a lick, at that a run things. Because when you go down like the wall with them, I mean, really, look where the music did there. Look what the music do for Jamaica. Look what the music do for Jamaican people. And you have some youth now just come and just take it and broke it down. In a little corner, in a little version of mixtapes, where I claim about mixtape around the corner. When you listen to it back, you say, but wait. Where the intelligence there? Where the youth them mind there? That man cannot do stupidness and take it as some serious advancement in the music. When you know say nah get nowhere more than a next session. It's a terrible, terrible feeling, man. When you know say ones and ones come build up the thing and the thing get international and some youth just come around the corner and do pure foolishness. And people have praised the foolishness. Oh man, can I listen to man and chat foolishness and put work for that woman and I need woman and I mean for years them I do it, but I mean it gets away now that it gets graphic, more graphic now. And you have youth who's supposed to be intelligent. Youth who's supposed to be intelligent. Glorifying them madness there. Wow. Or where we mind there, where we heart there, where we soul there. We don't have no soul again. That's why I see the thing get away. Because all aspects of the Jamaican vibes mash down. Yes, we are big up Harris Andy. Why, you know, Baba Andy, you know. Baba Andy. Long time I don't see you, trust me. Wow. Okay. So, we see the government make a little nasty move again for the people in Jamaica. I don't know how these people, we see a project was supposed to cost $50 million going to cost the Jamaican people almost $200 million. How can somebody, where the people them look after money again? Where them get them accountant from? Can you budget out something for cost $50 million and one man out of the whole of that I get that? One somebody. When them budget out him expense, it come up to $50 million. But yet still them say the whole thing will cost $50 million. Something must be wrong with me to write it. No, something wrong with me. Because me I look at this thing and me I say, no, up here idiot run this thing here. How can somebody budget out something for cost $50 million and one man pay is that $50 million? Rasta no. As some knows the government wicked, you know. Cause here one now. You see that $200 million there? All them would have to do, you know. It just go down at Tivoli, find out how much people place damage, and just give each person $1 million. Simple. And done, argument done. You know what people don't know that like even $500,000 right now? Instead of go through all of this madness and a chat. When them know what them did do. Them go down and go kill 70 odd people, shoot out the people in place, mash out the people in place, get them out of business and all them something there. You know how much people at Tivoli right now would have like whole lamp and all of 500,000 to come set up themselves. And una pay people when in the town you don't have no money and you don't have to go to IMF because you don't have no money. Una pay people $50 million for sit down to come find out something we don't know already. No, sir. May I tell you? And you know something? Nothing now come out of it. When I say nothing now come out of it, I mean nothing now come out of the inquiry, you know. Nothing now come out of the 50, the 200, nearly $200 million what them supposed to pay. One man I get $50 million. No, Rasta, believe you me. No, I mean, how that possible? How that possible? And that the $50 million don't include certain things, you know. I can't do over here. The $15 million don't include the cell phone where I'm not prepared to make call. And how far him come from, you know. I think a Barbados him come from. Hotel accommodation. Him have in a hotel as long as him there. Him not have no friend where him can sit down with and stay with. Them couldn't rent a big house and put him in a. And I know him wanna get $50 million neither, I know. And you have one woman there we have faced with the people that get much so much. 30 odd million. Hey, no. Believe you me. Jackass said earlier level that. It really the level for sure, you know. Cause that Columbus the things in the world is flat, the earth flat and that it not flat. $50 million them budget for the whole project and now it comes to nearly $200 million. Who are for them accountant, Rasta? Them need to come get some area accountants. Them need to get Sophia and them people there. Them need to get well CEO named Debbie. Them need to get them people there enough for them business. Because there's no them need to get some people who work on a craft market. Them need to get some people who in the arcade. Because it's them people in the arcade. Them couldn't go budget out something for cost $50 million and end up as spend $100 million. That's worse than the NHT thing, and I want the people them know that. I want the people them know, say, where the government bring off power so right now with this inquiry so. and the money where they go cost. I want to them know say it worse than the NHT debacle where them create. Is another $200 million? I mean, me mustn't have no sense. I mean, really. Me must really stupid. If me put on this thing and say, all right, according to this, that, this will cost me, that project will cost me $10,000. That money I forget that, that money I forget that, that money I forget that. So the budget will cost me $10,000. How the hell it turn around now say one somebody in the budget will get the whole, with the whole budget? You can't explain that to me? No, sir. You hear about it? Eh? No, you hear about it? The government, for the inquiry where they have Pantivale Garden, them say it's supposed to come up to $50 million, the project, for pay this and pay that and pay that. And see there? Watch it. See there? See there? See there? See there? As me I talk about it, see there? See there? Can you believe that? The project was called $50 million. And one man, that means that the accountant, you know, when they are checking, you know, them supposed to check in all of the possible. They are supposed to have in all miscellaneous, you know. As some you know, people work, you know, say, all when we go up on tour, you know, we work out the tour money from Yasso. And we said, this is going to cost that, the bus is going to cost that, the hotel, sometimes we don't pay the hotel, but we say, well, sometimes we not going to work. You have to pay for the hotel then, because you have no promoter we have to pay for that night there. So the hotel is going to cost that for the half night then, the per day, for the half day then when we don't work. So we now get no per day from promoter. Gas, for the bus, our budget in the thing. Now can you imagine you budget a tour for cost $50,000 and you end up here say the bass player alone and get $50,000. Can you imagine you budget a tour for $50,000? The whole tour is supposed to cost $50,000. And you hear say are the bass player alone supposed to get $50,000? Them things that make man get rank. You know, rank. You know, rank like rank, not a Peter's Lake kind of rank. Rank like behind the courthouse on a town. Them hours a night, yeah? At that kind of rank there. Rank, man. Rank. Me don't know. Jamaican people, wake up. Wake up. Believe you me, we have to wake up because that not sound proper. That not sound proper. That worse than the NHT. May I tell you, it worse than the NHT they with them create. Worse. We have been going through the archives of the cutting edge. And we have been bringing up some past tapes that we used to play where as signature the cutting edge. You know, these tapes over the 20 odd years have made cutting edge what cutting edge have been over the 20 odd years. So tonight we're going to feature a tape where it's the most played tape on the cutting edge. The tape, we play over this tape more than any other tape. But we know that sometimes when we play a tape, look how much time we play it, a whole lot of people never did hear it. And a whole lot of people stop you up on the road and say, Mota, you remember that tape that we play now? Whatsoever, you can't play it back. We're going to give you your heart desire tonight. We're going to play over a tape where we have played. And I think that we have played this tape more than any other tape, but trust me, it's like the people them can't get enough of it. Days gone at the year. We are asking the religious authorities please not to keep any prayer breakfasts this year. We have been monitoring these prayer breakfasts and we have seen where every time them come out, one after a week or two, the crime rate escalate. Now, the crime rate gone terribly, you know, since the year start, must about 30 odd people dead in how much? To the other what?
14.
To the other 14, them say how much 30 odd people dead, murdered in a 14 day. What kind of, how we live? Anyway, now the prayer breakfast, me not superstitious, you know. Me not a superstitious man, you know. Me deal with scientific facts. I have been monitoring this prayer breakfast over the years, and I realize that every time them done a prayer breakfast, 1 or 2 weeks after, murder does whoops. I mean, I talk about car accident either. I mean, I talk about raw murder. I am calling upon the authorities to postpone this prayer breakfast. It's not helping nothing. It's not helping nothing more than some big belly guys, diabetic guys, obese guys sit down and yam bacon and egg and sausage and all them things and talk about them and pray to God for help the country. And them a pray, and them now pray to the right God neither. That is why every time them come out, the thing get away. Them just sit down there, drink up them coffee, drink up them tea, them orange juice, and chat, and then go home back to them normal work. And then the crime just jump up because God not listening to them. God is not listening to them. Because it has helped nothing. Practical work is what is necessary and needed. Practical work. Prayers right now is a thing of the past. Prayers is for the superstitious people. Me say that non-apologetically. Prayers are for superstitious people who believe that there's something out there is listening to the prayer and will react to their prayer. People pray because them feel, say, something out there. Individual is listening to their individual prayer to do something about it. That is why when man want win lottery, him pray. Him don't buy no ticket, but him pray for win the lottery. I don't know him going to win the lottery and him don't buy no ticket, but him pray for that. Because him have faith, but him don't work. And them same ones say faith without works is folly. So, we see people pray continuously in a Jamaica. And the more them, as a matter of fact, it's mostly poor people full up the church them at Sunday time, you know. And them pray for this and pray for that. But guess what? When them come out, them bars to the government this, and them bars to the government that. And if a little flood come, it wash their house. And them thank God say it's not them that get washed away, but God watch them house. Why would I want to watch them house and you thank him for not washing with you? It's like a man in an accident. Now we say it so much time. A man in an accident and him give a man a bad ride and the man drive go over the precipice and dead. Him say, boy, thank God say not him. The next man dead, you know. Then him could all lose all of 1 foot and him say, boy, thank God, a man come and say, thank God, him not take your 2 foot. So me should have start thank God, say him just give me 1 foot. Me not understand that philosophy. For years now, me I try to figure out that philosophy there and me need some counseling. We need some counseling for that philosophy there. That man a pray and really believe, say, really in them genuine heart of heart, believe that there's something out there is listening to them. So when I want to go in a prayer breakfast, through the blood of Jesus, him really believes, say, the blood of Jesus is saving him from some atrocity. But I want to tell you, according to what I have seen over my life, there's nothing out there that is listening. Nothing. There's nothing out there that is listening. Because if it was so, genuine people, loving people, kind people, honest people wouldn't die like how we see them dead now. Something wrong with the equation that good, honest, genuine people die and the wicked prosper a whole heap of time. Look where going in the world here right now. You have man a bomb up people. You have man a tire and bomb and like a picnic. You have man a go through cities and wipe out whole city. You have presidents a send unmanned aeroplane to bomb up people, and it bomb children and women. You have men sitting down in them high places, creating weapons of all different sorts, who can create the most sophisticated weapon that will cause damage to human beings and leave plants and animals and buildings. You have people at the moment I am speaking now is conniving to kill somebody whom they know, who him know or who she know. As I speak here, somebody out there is planning to kill somebody who them know for years though. It's a serious thing. And one must meditate upon him life and see what him can do. It is up to you, the individual, to do what you can do to make life more meaningful and more purposeful for yourself and others around you. Whether you have a family or you have friends. I hear someone that sing for radio now say him no want no friend and all them foolishness there. That is where it reach now. Man that sing for radio say him no want no friend. Some man that say him no want no woman, because woman is like shadow. Can you imagine a man that sit down and say him no want no woman? Him no want no man neither, you know, but him say him no want no woman, like him is an island. You never hear the saying say no man is an island. You have woman out there say, boy, me no want no man too wicked. So them try to go it alone. When you know, say, you have to have a balance. And people go to church to find God, not realizing that God is not in the church. And a lot of people is leaving the church now because God not in the church. The church is one of the most destructive places right now for black people stand up in every Sunday. That give them a warped sense of security. It make them blissful in them ignorance. And the church is in cahoots with the politics of the country. Because most of the politics of the country come out of the church. Most schools in Jamaica started out of a church, a denomination. And we see the same people them grow up to be men and women and go to the university to get PhD, get all sorts of masters, and come out and oppress the people them. Most of these people were in a big position right now. They were groomed and fashioned by a school that was started by a church. And them tell you, say, the values, they would need to go back to Christian values. What is Christian values? What is the value of Christians that is different from Hindus or Buddhists or Rosicrucianists? People want you to believe that if you're not a Christian, you do have no values. You do have no morals. Even atheists have morals. But people say if you don't believe in the Christian God, you're doomed. But when I look upon even in a Jamaica, I don't have to go far to say who is suffering in Jamaica. Who is suffering in Jamaica? Who for house wash most of the time? Who for house are burned down most of the time? And them a ball on TV. Who can't carry them picnic at school most of the time? Who? Poor people. Poor black people who go to church every Sunday, sit down on the veranda and read them Bible and try instilling at them children the teachings of the Bible. And when anything happen to them, instead of them go to the church, them go to the Obia man to fix them problem. And then them pick me out there. Can't go to school, grow up, and become destructive. I don't know if me not have no sense, but me say the same people them who go to church, who believe in a Jesus, turn accountants and put $50 million on the table and said this must cost $50 million. And it is now costing $100 million, and one of the man them for him P go come up to the whole. Hey, I wonder if a man understand where I go on. One man I go get where all of the people them in the group supposed to get. Not to mention the next man we get $50 million to, and the next one I get $40 million, and the next one I get $30 million. Then Jamaican people only not see something wrong with that. Only really not see nothing wrong with that. Only just go on business as usual like NHT, alright, them say them this and that and that. Now we hear them talk about buy the copyright to the hey. And people that take black people for idiot, you know, guess what? Most of we are going like we are idiot to choose. Yes, this is the cutting edge, you know. We are talking about the church and how the church manipulate the minds of the people them. I know even the politicians them get manipulated by the church, and how most of the school them in Jamaica, the well-established school them, is started by a church, and we always give praises to the church to do all these wonderful things in the society. You know, the church starts schools, you know, Christian values, and all these things. And if you check out 99.99 of these people, they will tell you that they give credence to Christian values. But these people who give credence to Christian values, what have they done to satisfy this value that them give it to? And when we look at the state of Jamaica today, and make we say, when we look at the state of the Western world, today, and make we even go further than the Western world too. When we look at the state of religion, and see what religion is doing to the minds of people. Religion make good people do evil things. Religion make good people do evil things. And when we see what them use religion to do to millions of African people brought from them own land and taken across that sea, the Atlantic Ocean, and taken into a foreign land and was whipped and lashed, and all of them feelings of joy and happiness get beaten out of them and then become hardened. Happiness get beaten out of them and then become hardened. So hard. And then them put this in the name of the blood of And you can't tell black people nothing. You can't tell black people nothing when it come on to the blood. Because all the year people are saying about wash in the blood of the lamb. Figuratively speaking, that even the Roman Catholic Church, when them put the Eucharist in their mouth, them say it become the flesh of Jesus. And when them drink the wine, they say it become the blood of Jesus, literally. All the hell sensible people. All the hell people with them masters. People with them PhD can believe such rubbish and stupidness. And if they make the masters and the PhD, them believe that and accept as a reality. What you think them doing to you? You know, them illusion and them corruption. What has it done to better the life of African people internationally and as a nation? All these religious belief systems. I will say I'll Rasta engrave some of them little thinking there in a them own way of life. And I push it out upon the people them. You hear Rasta come with the same little antagonistic, fundamentalist craziness. Where do we go from here? Because if you keep doing the same thing the same way all the while, you're going to get the same result. And that is what is happening. We're trying to get a different result from doing the same thing all the while. What has it benefited us? After 500 years, 400 years, after 2,000 years. What has it done to mankind and in heart? What has it done to mankind's spirit? Where's the connection between human nature and the birds and the flowers and the bees and the trees and the animals? What has it done to his spirit? That when you look on a man now, you're afraid of him more than you're afraid of a dog. Can you imagine that? You see man approach you, and you see a dog approach you. And you're afraid of the man more than you're afraid of the dog. How did we get to that thinking, that stage of underdevelopment? So, we're saying that to say this. That one of the tapes that we play, well, I am saying that we have played this tape more than any other tape. Is a tape about a nun named Sister Charlotte. For those who have never heard it before, you're going to hear it tonight. You're going to hear the journey of this young lady trying to find Jesus in the Roman Catholic Church and what she had to go through and persevere and even have to escape out of the decadent life that she didn't believe was there in the church. And how much of us realize that? Sometimes we realize when it's too late that we start the same very thing that we find decadent, we start to preach it. Some people go find decadence, and start preach decadence, said we, They will not see that in the music, man. We see that in the music, We see that in the music. Man say, him have to buzz, and the only way him can buzz is to say certain things and do certain things. You see the girl them now, you don't have to go go club again, All you have to do is go to one dance hall show and look on the stage. All them need is a pole on the stage. Because some of them dancers there, how them dress, I like how a go girl dress. It don't make no difference. And them are going to see him, we hold up them crutches and a wine. I mean, may I tell you, Rasta, I will accept these things as a normal thing. We accept that our young children must do what they want to do because this is the age of democracy and freedom. That's why it named dumb. Freedom. Because when you see a little daughter, I mean, one can have fun. I mean, me not one of them fundamentalists that way. One come tell a little daughter now, say, go take off that and go this and this and that. No, me not like that, you know. But when you see a sister entertain people on stage, where she's the center of attraction, and when you look on her, she's like one of them go-go girls. Yes, but my sister reached this all. My sister reached this all. And this is a normal thing. A normal thing. So, we want to present to you a nun named Sister Charlotte. Very true story. Believe it or not, it really did happen. All right, here goes.
It was an exceedingly graphic and gripping tape. It's a testimony of an ex-nun by the name of Sister Charlotte, who disappeared approximately 2 years after having given this testimony. If you have young children with you, you may wish to screen this tape and listen to it yourself before determining whether you want your child to hear the material that is on it.
People, I couldn't be a Christian if I still had bitterness in my heart. God delivered me from all bitterness and strife and delivered me out of all of that one day and made himself real to me in the power of the Holy Spirit. And so when I give this testimony, I'm giving it because after God saved me, he delivered me out of the convent and out of bondage and darkness. The Lord laid the burden upon my heart to give this testimony that others might know what cloistered convents are. And so as you listen carefully this afternoon, I trust I will not say one thing that will leave any feeling in your heart whatsoever that I don't carry a burden for the Roman Catholic people. I don't like the things they do. I don't agree with the things that they teach. But I covet their soul for Jesus. I'm interested in their souls. I believe Jesus went to Calvary. He died that you and I might know him. And their souls are just as precious as your soul and my soul. So I'm interested. First of all, as we slip into this testimony, having been born in Roman Catholicism, not knowing anything else, not knowing the Word of God, because we didn't have a Bible in our home. We had never heard anything about this wonderful plan of salvation. And so naturally, I grew up in that Roman Catholic home as a child, knowing only the catechism, knowing only the teaching of the Roman Catholic Church. And because I loved the Lord, and because I wanted to do something for him, I wanted to give him my life, I didn't know of any other way for a Roman Catholic girl to give her life to God other than entering a convent. And through going to the confessional box where, naturally, I'm under the influence of my father, confessor, the Roman Catholic priest, his influence over my life, one day I made up my mind, through his influence and one of my teachers in the parochial school, that I wanted to be a little sister. At that time, I thought of being a sister of the open order. But as I went on into this, up until the time I took my white veil, 16 and a half years of age, everything was beautiful. I really didn't have any fear in my heart whatsoever. Everything was taught to me was seemingly along the line that I had been taught in the church before I entered a convent. And so one day, after making up my mind to enter a convent, I remember that particular day, two of the sisters came home with me from school. They were my teachers. And when we arrived at my father's home that afternoon, our father confessor was in the home likewise. I often say when I was a little girl, children were seen and not heard. You didn't talk when you was a child, at least you didn't in my family, in my home, unless you were spoken to. And I remember I listened to them carry on a conversation, and then I moved over close enough to my father to ask him if I could say something. That was a bit out of the ordinary, and he permitted me to talk, and I said, Dad, I want to go into a convent. And I'll tell you, that priest took it up quickly. They had already been influencing me. My father broke down and began to cry, not because he's sad, but he's very happy. My mother came over and took me in her arms, and she too wept tears. She was very happy. Those were not tears of sadness, because to think her little girl was giving her life to the convent to pray for lost humanity. And naturally, my family were very thrilled about it, and I was too. But anyway, I didn't go for about a year after that, and then the time come when I got myself ready, and my mother prepared things for me, and so I entered the convent. They took me, and we didn't have a place close enough to my father and mother's home, so I think they took me around 1,000 miles away from home, where I entered a convent boarding school. I liked about 3 months being 13 years of age, just a little girl. I look back on it now and think, my homesick, I was so homesick. Why, my mother and daddy, they stayed 3 days with me, and when they left, I became so homesick naturally. Why shouldn't I? Just a baby away from home. And when I was a little girl, you know, I had never spent a night away from my mother, and I surely had never gone any place without my family. I was very lonely and very homesick. But I'll never forget, after Dad and Mother told me goodbye, and I knew they were traveling a long distance away from me, and I had never realized in my heart I'll never see them again. Naturally, I hadn't planned it like that, because I planned to be a sister of the open order. But if you listen carefully to this portion of the testimony, then you'll understand just why I'm saying some of the things that I say. Now, oftentimes we say the priest selects his material through the confessional box. Because at 7 years of age, I went to confessional. 7 years of age, I would always, when I come into the church, first I'd slip over at the feet of the crucifix, rather the Virgin Mary, and then over at the feet of the crucifix, and I'd ask the Virgin Mary to help me make a good confession. Because I was a child and my heart was honest, and I knew the priest had taught us to always make a good confession. Keep nothing back. Tell everything if I expected absolution from any sin that I might have committed. And so I would ask the Virgin Mary to help me make a good confession. I would ask then Jesus to help me make a good confession. And you know, I'll assure you, after I lived in the convent for a short period of time, now I had to go on with my schooling. I just finished the 8th grade, and they promised me to give me a high school education, some college education. But I didn't get much college. I got mostly just high school training, and they gave that to me all right. I took it under some terrible difficulties and strains and all of that. It was rather difficult. But they gave it to me, for which I appreciate very, very much. But I'll assure you, after they put me through the crucial training that we must go through to become just a little novitiate entering a convent, the training is really, it's outstanding as far as a nun is concerned, and you know what it's all about after you've been in there for a little while. So now I've entered the convent, and for just a few minutes we want to tell you just a little bit how we live, what we eat, how we sleep. If I take you into the convent and tell you those things, you'll understand a little bit more about my testimony. First, as I entered the convent as this small child, I went on to school, but I was being trained. But the day came, possibly I was 14 and a half, when the Mother Superior began to tell me about the white veil. And I didn't know too much about it. But taking the white veil, they told me that I would become the spouse or the bride of Jesus Christ. There would be a ceremony, and I would be dressed in a wedding garment. And on this particular morning, they told me at 9 o'clock, they would dress me up in a wedding garment. Now, you're wondering where that come from and how they get the wedding clothes for the little nuns? The Mother Superior sits down and writes a letter to my father and tells him how much money she wants. And then whatever she asks, my father sends it, and the little buying sister, goes out and buys the material, and the wedding gown is made by the nuns of the cloister. I'm still open order now. And, of course, whatever she asks, now you say, did they spend all the money for the wedding gown? Well, of course, we don't know these things in the very beginning of our testimony, but after we live in a convent for a little while, we learn to know they could ask my father for $100, and he'd send it. And not that they wouldn't use maybe a third of that for the wedding garment, but they would keep the rest of it. And my father would never know the difference, neither did I, until I lived in the convent for a period of time, and I had to make some of the wedding clothes, and then I knew the value of them and what they cost, and I knew of the money that came in because I was one of the older nuns. Well, all right, the time came, of course, when I walked down that aisle, and I was dressed in a wedding garment. Now, you know, in the convent, I used to walk the 14 stations of the cross, the 14 steps that Jesus carried the cross to Calvary. But after I had made up my mind to take the white veil, never again did I walk. I wanted to be worthy. I wanted to be holy enough to become the spouse or the bride of Jesus Christ. And so I would get out on my knees and crawl the 14 stations. It's quite a distance. But I crawled them every Friday morning. I felt it would make me holier. I felt it would draw me closer to God. It would make me worthy of the step that I was going to take, and that's what I wanted more than anything in the world. I would like to impress on your hearts, every little girl that enters the convent that I know anything about, that child has a desire to live for God. That child has a desire to give her heart, mind, and soul to God. Now, many people make this remark, and we hear it from various types of folk who say only bad women go into convents. That isn't true. There are movie stars who go into convents. They've lived out in the world. No doubt they are sinners and all of that. But they go in when they're women. They know what they're doing. And they go in only because the Roman Catholic Church is going to receive not only thousands, but yea, it'll run up into the millions of dollars. And they don't mind who they take in if they can get a lot of money out of that individual. But the ordinary little girl that goes in as a child, she's just a child, and she goes in there with a heart and mind and soul just as clean as any child could be. I say that because sometimes we hear a lot of things that are really not true. Now, after we become the spouse of Jesus Christ, I want you to listen carefully to this, and then you can follow me into the rest of the testimony. We are now looked upon as married women. We are looked upon as married women. We are the spouse or the bride of Jesus Christ. Now, the priest teaches every little girl that will take the white veil, they'll become the bride of Christ. He teaches her to believe that her family will be saved. It doesn't make any difference how many banks they rob, how many stores they rob. It doesn't make any difference how they drink and smoke and carouse and live out in this sinful world and do all the things that sinners do. It doesn't make a bit of difference. Still, our family will be saved if we continue to live in the convent and give our life to the convent or to the church. We can rest assured that every member of our immediate family will be saved. And you know there are many little children that are influenced and enticed to go into convents because we realize it is a salvation for our families. And sometimes even Roman Catholic families, the children grow up and leave the Roman Catholic Church and go out into the deepest of sin. And so every little girl that enters a convent is hoping by her sacrificing so much, home and loved ones, mother and daddy, everything that a child loves, her family will be saved regardless of what sins they commit. And of course we're children and our minds are immature and we don't know any better. And it's so easy to instill things like this into the hearts and minds of little children. And the priest is he's really good at it. And of course we look upon our priest, our father confessor, I looked upon him as God. He's the only God I knew anything about. And to me he was infallible. I didn't think he could sin. I didn't think that he would lie. I didn't think that he ever made a mistake. I looked upon him as the holiest of holy because I didn't know a God, but I did know the Roman Catholic priest. And to me, I looked to him for everything that I asked of any of God, so to speak. I believed the priest could give it to me. And so the day comes when all of us. Now, as we're going in, I want you to listen carefully. After taking the white veil, things are beautiful. I'm 16 and a half years of age. Everyone's good to me. And I'm living in the convent, and I haven't seen anything yet because no little girl, we're not subject to a Roman Catholic priest until we're 21 years of age. And as we give you this next vow, then you'll understand that we don't know about this. This is kept from the little sisters until we've taken her black veil, and then it's too late. I don't carry the keys to those double doors, and there's no way for me to come out. The priest will tell all over the whole United States and other countries that sisters or nuns, rather, can walk out of convents when they want to. I spent 22 years there. I did everything there was to do to get out. I've carried tablespoons with me into the dungeons and tried to dig down into that dirt because there's no floors in those places. But I never yet found myself digging far enough to get out of a convent with a tablespoon, and that's about the only instrument. Because when we're using the spade, and we do have to do hard, heavy work, when we use a spade, we're being guarded, we're being watched by two older nuns, and they're going to report on us. And I'll assure you, you're not going to try to dig out with a spade, and you wouldn't get very far anyway, because they made those convents or built those convents so little nuns cannot escape. That was their purpose in building them as they build them. And there's no way for us to get out unless God makes a way. But I believe God's making a way for numbers of little girls after they come out of the convents. All right, now when the time comes, I think I was 18 when the mother began talking to me. Now, I planned to come out, see, after my white veil. I wanted to be a little nursing sister in the Roman church. But the Mother Superior, I suppose she was watching my life. I suppose she realized I had much endurance. I had a strong body. And I believe the woman was watching me because one day she asked me to come into her office and she began to tell me, Charlotte, you have a strong body. And she said, I believe you have the possibilities of making a good nun, a cloister nun. I believe you're the type that would be willing to give up home, give up mother and daddy, give up everything you love out in the world, so to speak, and hide yourself away behind convent doors. Because I believe you're the kind who would hide back there and be willing to sacrifice and live in crucial poverty that you might pray for lost humanity. She said, I believe you're the kind to be willing to suffer because we are taught to believe as nuns that as we suffer, our loved ones and your loved ones that are already in a priest purgatory will be delivered from purgatory sooner because of our suffering. She knew I was willing to suffer. I didn't murmur. I didn't complain. She knew all of that, and she's watching my life, and that's the reason she began to tell me about the black veil. And then, of course, I didn't know too much about a cloistered nun. I didn't know their life. I didn't know how they live. I didn't know what they'd done. But, this woman proceeded to tell me. Now, we hear a lot of people try to tell me in the various places that we travel and go. I hear a lot of Roman Catholics try to tell me I've been in so many cloisters. I know all about them. But a Roman Catholic can lie to you, and they don't have to go to confession and tell the priest about the lie that they told because they're lying to protect their faith. They can tell any lie they want to protect their faith and never go to the confessional box and tell the priest about it. They can do more than that. They can steal up to $40, and they don't have to tell the priest about it. They don't have to say one word about it in the confessional box. They are taught that. Every Roman Catholic knows it, and every Roman Catholic, you'd be horrified to know how many of them steal up to that amount. And many of them lie. We've dealt with them. I've dealt with hundreds and hundreds of them. I've seen good many of them fall into the altar and cry out to God to save them. And before they're saved, they look into my face and hold my hand and lie to me. But after God gets a hold of their heart, then they want to make right what they've told me because they realize they've lied about it. But as long as they're Roman Catholic, they're permitted to lie. And it's the saddest thing. And you can't expect them to know God because God does not condone sin. I don't care who you are. I don't believe God condones sin. And I don't believe he's going to condone it in the Roman Catholic people, even though they're being misled and they're being blinded and led into ways that's going to lead them into a devil's hell. I believe that with all of my heart because I've lived in a convent and know something about how those people live and what they do. Now the day comes. She told me, Charlotte, you'll have to be willing to spill your blood as Jesus shed his upon Calvary. She said you'll have to be willing to do penance, heavy penance. She said you'll have to be willing to live in crucial poverty. Now already I'm living in a bit of poverty, but I thought that was going to make me holy and draw me closer to God, and it would make me a better nun, and so I'm willing to live in that poverty. And then on this particular morning, she told me what I would be wearing. She said you'll spend 9 hours in a casket, and she explained a number of things to me. That's the most I knew about it, and I didn't find that out until I'd taken my white veil. And so on this particular morning, I'm 21 years of age, but 60 days previous to my being 21 years of age, I'm going to sign some papers that they placed in front of me, and those papers are this. I'm going to sign away every bit of inheritance that I might have received from my family after their death. Of course, I signed that over to the Roman Catholic Church, and oftentimes I say the Roman Catholic priests are enticing girls, not only their background, and not only their strong bodies, their strong minds and strong wills, but he's enticing girls where mothers and fathers have much property, and they are comfortably fixed with the material things of this life. Why? Because when that child enters the convent, they're going to get a portion of her money, of her father's money. And I often say, even salvation in the Roman Catholic Church is going to cost you plenty of money, more than you know anything about. And so they don't mind commercializing off of that child and the inheritance that would have come to her. And so on this particular morning, I told them their strong bodies, their strong minds and strong wills, but he's enticing girls where mothers and fathers have much property, and they are comfortably fixed with the material things of this life. Why? Because when that child enters the convent, they're going to get a portion of her money, of her father's money. And I often say, even salvation in the Roman Catholic Church is going to cost you plenty of money, more than you know anything about. And so they don't mind commercializing off of that child and the inheritance that would have come to her. And so on this particular morning, I told the Mother Superior, give me a little while to think it over. She didn't make me do it. No one did. But I thought it over for a couple years. And then one day I told her, I think I'm going to hide away behind the convent doors because I believed I could give more time to God. I could pray more. I maybe would be in a position where I could inflict more pain upon my body because we are taught to believe that God smiles down out of heaven as we do penance, whatever the suffering might be. And I didn't know any better because I often say, if you could only look into the hearts of little nuns, if you are a Christian, you would immediately cry out before God in behalf of those little girls, because to me we are heathens. It doesn't make any difference the amount of education we may have. We are still heathens. We know nothing about this lovely Christ, nothing about the plan of salvation, and we're living as hermits in the convent. And so on this particular morning, I come walking down an aisle again, similar to that. And may I say, the morning before, I can't go into it too deep because I never would be able to cover enough of it so you could understand it. But this morning, I'm walking down that aisle, but I don't have a wedding garment on. I have a funeral shroud. It's made of dark red velvet, and it's way down to the floor. And I'm walking down that aisle. Now, I know what I'm going to do. The casket is all ready made by the nuns of the cloister. Very rough boards, and it's sitting right out here. And I know when I come down there that I'll step in that casket and lay my body down, and I'm going to spend 9 hours in there. And 2 little nuns will come and cover me up with a heavy black cloth we call a heavy drape mortel. And you know, it's so heavily incensed that I feel like I'll smother to death, and I have to stay there. Now I know when I come out of that casket, I'll never leave the convent again. I know I'll never see my mother and father again. I'll never go home again. I'll always live behind convent doors, and when I die, my body will be buried there. They told that. So I knew it even before I done it. It's a great price to pay, and then to find out that convents are not religious orders as we were taught and as we were trained. It's quite a disappointment to a young girl that's given her life to God and willing to give up so much and sacrifice so much. I'll assure you it was a disappointment. And so after I spent those, now you say, what'd you do while you lay in that casket? What do you think I did? I spilled every tear in my body. I remembered every lovely thing my mother done for me. I remembered her voice. I remembered the gathering around the table. I remembered the times when she would pray with us. I remember the things that she said to me. I remembered what a marvelous cook she was. Everything as a little girl growing up in that home, I remembered it, laying in that casket, knowing I'll never hear her voice again. I'll never see her face again. I'll never put my feet under her table again, enjoy her good cooking. I knew all that. And so maybe for 4 hours I spilled all the tears in my body because it was so hard. And I knew I'd get homesick. I knew I'd want to see her someday, but I gave it all up. What for? For the love of God. I thought I didn't know any better. And I'll assure you those were 9 long hours. And then I seemingly got a hold of myself, and I thought, dear Charlotte, now you're going to make the best Carmelite nun, because everything I've ever done, even that I'm out of the convent, I do give my best. I try to give everything that I have, in regardless what I might do. And so I did in the convent. I gave the best that I have. And I wanted to be the best nun that I could possibly be. And the Mother Superior knew that, and don't worry, the priest knew all about it too. Now I realize after I walk out of that casket or to come out of it, they're going to take me like this. Over here and right back here is a room. We call it the Mother Superior's room. Now, I've never been in that particular room, so I don't know what she has in there. But you know, when I walk in there this time, the Mother Superior sits me down in a straight back, hard-bottom chair. And immediately then I'm going to take 3 vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. And you know, as I take those vows, she opens a little place in the lobe of my ear and takes out a portion of blood, because I must sign every vow in my own blood. And after that happens, then I'm going to take the vow of poverty. Now, when I sign that vow, I sign it thus, and I'm willing to live in crucial poverty the balance of my life as long as I live. And what that poverty is like, of course, we don't know. And then my next vow, I'm going to vow of chastity. And you know, this vow, of course, you know what it means. I'm taught to believe that I'm married to Jesus Christ. I'm his bride. I'll always remain a virgin. I'll never legally marry again in this world, because I have become the spouse of the bride of Jesus Christ. After the bishop married me to Christ, he placed the ring on my finger, and that meant I'm sealed to Christ. I'm married to him, and I accepted it because I didn't know any better. And now here I am, taking a vow that I would always remain a virgin because I'm the bride of Christ. And I want you to listen carefully. And then, of course, my last vow of obedience. Now, when we sign that vow, I'll assure you already. I know what obedience means. I'm living in a convent. And there they demand absolute obedience. You don't get by with anything, not even for 2 minutes. I mean, you don't get by with it. You have to realize what obedience means, and they demand it, and you learn to know it, and you're much wiser the more quickly you learn it, and you obey it, and you give them absolute obedience. All right, now, what does it mean to assign vows like this? Let me tell you this. It means more than you folk will ever know, because most people that I know anything about, they know very little about obedience. Oh, in a sense, yes, but you'll never know what a little nun knows about obedience. I'll assure you that one thing, unless you live in the convent. All right, that particular vow, when I signed it into my own blood, it done something to me, because after I've signed those vows, do you realize that I've signed away everything I have, my human rights? I have become a mechanical human being now. I can't sit down until they tell me to. I don't dare to get up until they tell me to. I can't lie down until they tell me to, and neither do I dare to get up. I cannot eat until they tell me to. And what I see, I don't see. What I hear, I don't hear. What I feel, I don't feel. I've become a mechanical human being, but you're not aware of that until you have signed all these vows. Then you realize, here I am, a mechanical human being, and of course I belong to Rome now. I'll assure you that right now. All right, we become, after this particular vows, we become forgotten women of the convent. In just a short while, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Now, immediately after I've taken those vows, then the Mother Superior is going to take away from me my name and give me the name of a patron saint. And she teaches me to believe that whatever happens to me in the convent, I can pray to that patron saint, and she will intercede and get my prayers through to God, because I'm not holy enough to stand in the presence of God. It isn't wonder the dear little nuns can never get close enough to God. We've always been taught that we'll never be holy enough to stand in His presence, and we always have to go through somebody else in order to get a prayer through to God. And we believe it because we don't know any better. And so now all identification of who Charlotte was is going to be put away. It'll be taken away from me. And if you knew me and would come to the convent and call for my family name, they'd tell you there isn't such a person as that. I don't exist, even though I'm right there, because I'm writing under another name. Now the Mother Superior is going to cut every bit of hair off of my head, and when she cuts it with a scissors, she puts the clippers on it. And I mean, there's nothing left. I just don't have one speck of hair left on my head. And of course, if you could be a nun, you would understand the heavy headgear that we have to wear. It would be so cumbersome to have hair and so cumbersome to take care of it. We don't have any ways of taking care of it in the convent. There are no combs in the convent, and so you can imagine how hard it would be for us to take care of a head of hair. It's not necessary that we have a comb after they finish with us. All right, now, this is my black veil. These are my perpetual vows, we'll call them. I'm there, and I'm going to stay there. Now, you know, up until this time, I received a letter once a month from my family, and I wrote a letter out of the convent once a month to my family, even though when I'd write that letter, I'd no doubt they marked out a lot of it, because when I would receive a letter from my family, there was so much of it blacked out until there was no sense to the letter, and oh, I'd weep over those black marks. I was wondering what my mother was trying to say to me. Don't worry, you'll never get to know what she wanted to say to you, because they have blacked it out. And so it would break your hearts many, many times, and you're lonely anyway, because you have no friends in the convent. I'll assure you, even though there was 180 on my particular wing, not one of those nuns were my friend, and neither was I a friend to them, because we are not allowed to be friends in the convent. We are all policemen or detectives watching each other. That's so we'll tell. And the little nun that finds something to tell on the other nuns, she stands in good favor with the Mother Superior. And then the Mother teaches that nun to believe. When she stands in good favor with the Mother Superior, she's standing in good favor with God. And so that little nun, of course, will want that, and she'll tell a lot of things maybe that are not even true on the other little nuns. All right, now after all of this has transpired and all of this has happened, everything I have is gone. I've sold my soul for a mess of theological pottage, because not only are we destroyed in our bodies, many of us in our minds, and many of us, if we die in the convent, we've lost our soul. And so it's a serious thing. And I surely covet your prayers for little nuns behind cloistered convent doors. They'll never hear this gospel. They'll never know the Christ that you folk know today. They'll never pray to Him as you people pray to Him. They'll never feel His blessings as you people feel them. And so put them on your heart and pray for them. They surely need much prayer. All right, now, as I walk into that room and all of this is transpiring, now bless your heart, I don't know what's going to be in the next room. After this is transpired and I've taken the vows that I will always remain a virgin, I'll never legally marry in this world because I'm the spouse of Christ. And then after this, the Mother Superior leads me out into another room, or rather she opens the door, and I'm to be sent into that room. And when I walk out in that room, I see something I have never seen before. I see a Roman Catholic priest dressed in a holy habit, and he walks over to me and locks his arm in my arm, which he had never done in the first part of my convent life. I never had a priest to insult me in any way. I never had one of them to be even unkind to me in the first part of my convent experience. But here he is now, and of course I didn't understand what it was all about. And I didn't know what in the world the man really expected of me. And you know, I pulled from him because I felt highly insulted. And I pulled from him and I said, shame on you. And it made him very angry for a minute. And he said, immediately, the Mother Superior must have heard my voice because she came out immediately. And she said, oh, and they called me by my church name. She said, after you've been in the convent a little while, you won't feel this way. The rest of us felt the same way you do. And you know, the priest's body is sanctified. And therefore, it is not a sin for us to give the priest our bodies. In other words, they teach every little nun this. As the Holy Ghost placed the germ in Mary's womb, and Jesus Christ was born, so the priest is the Holy Ghost. And therefore it isn't a sin for us to bear his children. And let me tell you, that's what they come to the convent for. No other purpose in all of this world do priests come into the convent but to rob those precious little girls of their virtue. And I'll assure you, we'll be telling you a little later in the testimony just what they really do after they come in under those particular deals. But may I say, now every bridge has been burned out from under me. There's no way back. I can't get out of the convent even though I pled. Oh, how I pled with that priest. Send for my father. I want to go home. I don't want to go any farther. And let me tell you, that's when you stand alone and you don't know who to turn to, and you're a victim of circumstances, and you'll live in the convent because there is no other way to get out of the convent. And I'll assure you, I stayed in the convent until God made a way for me to come out. And so after all of this, now my mail will stop. I'll never receive another bit of mail from my family. Never another letter. I belong to the Pope. I belong to Rome. And then after all of this, the Mother Superior, after taking these particular vows, and the priestess invited me to go to the bridal chamber. You say, did you go? No, definitely not. I didn't enter the convent to be a bad woman. It would have been much easier to stay out of the convent to be a bad woman. You wouldn't go into the convent and live in the poverty we live in and to suffer as we suffer to be a bad woman. No girl would do that. And it would have been much easier to stay out of the convent if I wanted to be a bad woman. But I went there to give my life and heart to God. And that was the only purpose I had in going there. And here this priest is. And of course I didn't go to the bridal chamber with him. I had a strong body then. One of us would have been wounded because I would have fought until the last drop of blood. And you know, it made them very, very angry, I'll assure you. But I didn't go to the bridal chamber with him. But now I'm going to have to go to penance the next morning. And of course this will be a heavier penance because of what I done already. And when the Mother Superior says we're going to do penance the next morning, I'm going to be initiated as a Carmelite nun. And I remember when she walked me down into that particular place, it was a dark room. I remember I lived above on the first floor until my black veil. After the black veil, they take me one story under the ground. And I lived from there on until God delivered me under the ground. I didn't live in the top part of this buildings at all. But you know, as we walked into this room, it's dark and it's very cold. And when we walked in, we came from back there somewhere. We come walking toward the front, and I walked along beside the Mother Superior. And when I got near the front, I saw those little candles burning. Anywhere in the convent, you'll find the 7 candles burning. And when I came a little closer, I saw the candles, but I couldn't see anything else. And I wondered, what's she going to do to me? That's the thing in our hearts, and we can't get away from it because we have fear. And when I come a little closer, I saw something lying on a board there. And you know, when I came real close, then I realized, here's a little nun lying on that board. I'll call it a cooling board because it was that. And just as long as her body, and there she was, and when I could see where the candles flickered down on her face, I realized that child is dead. And oh, I wanted so much to say, how did she die? Why is she here? How long do you keep her here? But you remember, I signed away every human right. And so I can't say one word, but I stood looking. Then the Mother Superior said, you stand vigil over this dead body for 1 hour. And at the end of the hour, a little bell is tapped, and another nun will come to relieve me. And may I I say I was advised every so many minutes I have to walk out in the front of that little body and sprinkle holy water and ashes over the body and say, peace be unto you. And I did exactly what they told me to do. Oh, it was a terrible feeling. I'm not afraid of the dead. It's the live people we have to be very cautious about. And I wasn't afraid of that little dead nun, but oh, my heart ached for her. And, after the bell tapped and I realized my hour's gone, the nun who comes to relieve us comes back here somewhere. And she, of course, we walk on our tiptoes. No noise is made in the convent. And when they don't speak, they just touch you. And, of course, my being down there with that little dead nun, and I was full of fear. When that girl laid a hand on my shoulder, I let out a scream, a horrible scream, from fear, just fear. And, I didn't mean to do it. I didn't break that rule on purpose, but I was scared. And immediately, of course, I had to come before the Mother Superior. And that's when I first learned to know, one of the first times, about a dungeon. They didn't tell me there were dungeons in the convent, and she put me in such a dirty, dark place with no floor in it for 3 days and nights, and I didn't get any food and any water. And I'll assure you, I didn't scream anymore. I tried so hard not to break the rules of screaming, because there is a dungeon, and I know they'll put you in it. And let me tell you right now, it's not a nice place to be. After you've been in one of those places, you'll know what it feels like. All right now, I say this before I go any farther, that popery is a masterpiece of Satan. I said it's a masterpiece of Satan, with its lying wonders and its traditions and its deception. It's a terrible thing when you know about it. And so as I come down into this room and she took me, let me look at this little girl, and that particular, if we call it a penance, is over. Now the very next morning, she said again to me, Charlotte, you're going to do penance. Not the next morning, it was 3 days after, because I spent 3 days and nights in the dungeon. And the next, fifth morning, whichever it was, she said, you're going to do penance. She took me down into another room, not the same room. And when we come walking down this time, I could see that big piece of wood, but I didn't know what it was. And when I came a little closer, there was a cross. It was made of heavy timber. I might say it was maybe 8 or 10 feet high, very heavy. And that cross was sitting on an incline like that. And she had me walk over here at the base of the cross, and she said, now strip your clothes off. And I took my clothes off. And then she made me down to my waistline. Then she made me drape my body over the foot of that cross. And she pulled my hands underneath and bound them to my feet. And then, that's where I'm going to spill my blood. And she had not told me how, and neither could I ask how I would spill it. And she gave 2 little nuns that came with her a flagellation whip. It's, I might call it a bamboo pole. It's about this long. It's about that big around. And it has 6 straps on it about this long. And on the end of either of those straps, there's a cross piece of sharp metal. And those little nuns either was given one of these whips. And they stood on either side of the cross. Now, at the same time, those girls began whipping my body. And I mean, when that metal hit my body, it would break the hide, of course. It would cut into the flesh, and I spilled blood. And it was running down to the floor. That's my flagellation whipping. That is where I spill my blood, as Jesus shed his upon Calvary. And of course, I'm human. It's wounded. It hurts. It was very painful. After the whipping is over, they don't bathe my body. They put my clothing back up on my body, and I have to go the rest of the day. When the night comes and I stand in front of my cell there, after we have to stand there to undress with our backs to each other, and then when I went in, I couldn't sleep that night. I just wasn't a bit sleepy, because I couldn't take off all my clothes. They had dried in those wounds, and it was terrible. I didn't take them off for several nights. And I'll assure you, when I came before my food, I didn't want my cup of black coffee. In the morning, we get a cup of black coffee. They serve it a tin cup, and we can have no milk or no sugar of any type in it. And we have 1 slice of bread. That's made by the nuns of the cloister. They weigh it. It weighs 4 ounces. That's all I get for breakfast. And then, of course, in the evening, I get a bowl of soup, and that's fresh vegetables cooked together. There's no seasoning in the soup whatsoever. And a half a slice of bread, and 3 times a week they give me a half a glass of skim milk. That consists of my food 365 days in the year. And I began losing weight very rapidly, I'll assure you, because I didn't have enough food to eat. I don't know the day that I went to bed without a hungry stomach. Sometimes it would be so hungry I couldn't sleep. The pain was gnawing. You can't hardly stand it. And you're only going to get that 1 slice of bread the next morning. That doesn't fill you up. And of course we have to work hard all day long. And I'll assure you, those little nuns, as I covet your prayers for them, they need your prayers in more ways than one, because you'll go to bed with a full stomach tonight. And you're very comfortable right now, but I'll assure you there's not one of them that's comfortable. They're hungry, and they're sick, and they're wounded, and they're hurt, and they're heartsick and homesick, and discouraged, And worst of all, seemingly they have no hope. No hope. You and I are looking forward to the day when we're going to see Jesus. They have no hope whatsoever, and I surely hope you don't forget to pray for them. All right, that was terrible, I'll assure you. And then in a few mornings after this, the Mother Spirit is taking me back for another initiation. And when I go into the penance chamber this morning, we come from a place up here, and we're going to walk back along like that, clear to the back. And you know, it was quite a ways back there, and I went through part of it's a tunnel, and then I come out into a room, and I'll walk through that room, and when I get way back there, I see those candles burning, and I see something else. There's ropes hanging down from the ceiling, and oh, I'm so scared. I wonder what the ropes are for, and what's she going to do? After these two penances, you began to have a lot of fear in your heart. And so I can't say anything, and I walk back there, and you know, I saw the ropes then real plain, what they're doing hanging down from that ceiling. Then she tells me, you go over there against the wall, about that close from the wall, and I have to stand sideways like this. Then she asked me to put up both of my thumbs, and I did. And then she pulled one rope down, and there's a metal band fastened securely, and she fastens that around the joint of my thumb. Then the other one comes down and fastens around this thumb. And there I'm standing like this, facing the wall, and then, you know, she comes over here to the end, and there's whatever you want to call it, she starts winding, and I start moving, and she's taking me right up in the air. And you know, when she gets me so just my toes are on the floor, just on my tiptoes, she fastens it, and there I hang, and all the weight of my body is on my thumbs and on my toes. Not a word is said. No one speaks a word. And she walks out of that room and locks the door. If you know what it means to hear a key locking a door, and know that I'm strung up there like that, you'll never know unless you're a nun. And when that woman walked out, I didn't know how long I'll stay there, how long that woman will leave me there. And you know, they didn't come to give me food, they brought me no water. And I thought, is this it? Am I going to die back here just like this? And within a few hours, you can imagine, I'm still a human being. My muscles began to scream out with the pain. I was suffering. And that woman let me hang, and nobody come near. And what good would it do for me to cry? You can spill every tear in your body. Nobody will hear you. There's no one there to care how many tears you spill. And so I just hung there. And finally, I began to I felt like I couldn't stand it. I'll surely die if they don't come and get me quickly. And I felt as if I was beginning to swell. I don't know how long went by, and she opened the door one morning, and she had something for me to eat. And the water was in a pan, and it was potatoes, and those potatoes were not good to eat. They were in a pan. And there's a shelf over there on the wall that she can adjust to the height of the nun. And you know, she pulled it up. Now, I'm not against the wall. I'm about this far from it. But to get that food, she puts it there and said, this is your food. And she walks out. Now, how am I going to get it? She didn't let my hands down, but this is what you'll learn. And you'll struggle to get it. I'm hungry. I mean, I'm so thirsty, I feel like I'm going mad. And to get it, I discovered that this hand goes high, and this one will come down a little bit. And that'll keep right on going higher. As I lean, I have to reach higher with this one. This one will automatically let down. And to get that water and that food, I mean, I had to get it like the dogs and cats. And I lapped as much of it as I could because I'm so thirsty. And get those potatoes, I tried as hard as I could because I'm hungry. I mean, I'm hungry. And I got as much of it as I could naturally, but I was hungry. That's the way she fed me for a while, and then she released the bonds on my hands and on my feet. And I tell you, then I shouldn't have said on my feet. She didn't release the bonds. She let me hang there for 9 days and 9 nights. I'm getting, almost got it mixed up with one of the other penances that I want to give to you. I hung 9 days and 9 nights in this position. And may I say, at the time come when I was so swollen here, and naturally I could see myself puffing out here. I felt like my eyes were coming out of my head. I felt like my arms, what part I could see of them right there, they were 2 or 3 sides, their normal size. I felt like I was that way all over my body, and I...
Yes, may I tell you, the worst is yet to come. This is the Cochin Age on IRFM. The time is 12 o'clock, midnight.
Like a boil, I was in real suffering. And then on the 9th day, she comes in and she releases the bonds from my hands and my body and lets me down on the floor. Now, I go down, I can't walk. I'll assure you I didn't walk. I didn't walk for a long time. But you know what? There's two little nuns that carry me out. One gets under my feet and the other under my shoulders. And they carry me in the infirmary and lay me on a slab of wood. And there they cut the clothing from my body. And let me tell you right now, nobody but God will ever know. I'm covered with vermin and filth. Why? I'm hanging there in my own human filth. There are no toilet facilities. Right behind me is a stool. They have running water in it, and the lid is down, and they have sharp nails driven through that lid. If I break my ropes and fall on that, I would suffer terribly. And this is the life of a little nun behind cloistered doors. After they've already deceived us, disillusioned us, and got us back there, then this is the life that we're living. And these are the things that we're going to have to do. And I'll assure you, it isn't anything funny. And then I remember as I lived on in that place, oh, let me tell you, in the morning, we have to get up out of our beds at 4:30 in the morning. The Mother Superior taps the bell, and that means 5 minutes to dress. And may I say to you folk, it's not 5.5 minutes. You better get that clothing on in 5 minutes. And many, I failed one time, and I had to be punished severely, but I never failed again in all the years in the convent. And you know, when we are finished dressing, then we're going to start marching, and we march by the Mother Superior. And that Mother Superior is going to appoint us to an office duty every morning. It might be scrubbing, it might be ironing, it might be washing, it might be doing some hard work, but I have to work 1 hour. Then we'll go in and gather around the table, and we'll find setting in front of us our tin cup full of coffee and our slice of bread. And then, of course, we have hard work to do. We have, I think there was 12 tubs in the convent that I lived in, and we washed on the old-fashioned washboard. We have the old sad iron that you heat on the stove. And you know, it wouldn't be so bad if we just had our own clothing in the convent, but the priests bring great bundles of clothing and put them in there because they can get them done for nothing, and we have to do that clothing on top of it. We work very, very hard, and they're not able to work because they don't have enough food to keep body, mind, and soul together. And those little girls are living under these particular circumstances. Well, I say we're women without a country. And I mean just exactly what I say, women without a country. Now we belong to the Pope. Anything they want to inflict upon my body, they can do it. And all the howling I do, if I should howl, it wouldn't make any difference because nobody's going to hear me. And they have no idea that I'll ever leave the convent. The plan is I'll die there and be buried there. Now you say, Charlotte, can you go into the convent? Any one of you folk can go into an open order convent, or a closed convent, into the speak room. And there is an outside chapel that you can walk into, of any that I know anything about. Closed convent into the speak room. And there is an outside chapel that you can walk into, of any that I know anything about. But you know, you just go in there and wander around to have some place to go, because you might meet something you're not expecting. If you go in there, you go prepared to take food to some little girl that's in there, and be sure that you know who you're taking it to. And when you go, as you walk up toward the front of the building like this, you'll see a bell, and you'll know what to do because it'll tell you. And you press a button there, and there'll be a gate swing out. It has about 3 shelves on it. And, of course, you've brought something for someone that you know in the convent. It might be the mother coming to visit her daughter. And, you know, when that bell is tapped, the Mother Superior is back here behind a big black rail. Now, that's a big iron gate there, and there's heavy folds of black material clear across there. And you can't go back there. You'll never see the Mother Superior, but she'll answer you through the black rail. And you might say, I brought some homemade candy for my daughter, and you might ask the Mother Superior to let you speak to her. You can't see her, but you could speak to her. You know, the mother will call that lovely little girl and call her out on the other side of the grail. Of course, you can't see her. And you know what? The mother will speak to her and say, honey, are you happy here? And that little nun will say, Mother, I'm very happy. You say, why did she say that? Well, bless your heart, don't you know the Mother Superior is standing there? And if we didn't say that after our mother is gone, then only God knows what the Mother Superior will do to the little nun. And so we must lie to our mother. And then the mother will say, do you have plenty to eat? And that little nun will answer and say, we have plenty to eat. But I'll tell you, that mother will go home. She'll prepare a lovely meal for the rest of the family. But if she could look in and see our table and see what her little girl is eating.
Continent with Mutabaruka. We are listening to our meds. You know here, Continent, the end, the end.
These things, of course, are undercover, and we have to take what they give us. All right, now they can make us do anything. Here we are, the Mother Superior, and I might be down in the laundry room washing. And I told you how we wash. and it's a cement floor. And doing the type of laundry we do, some of it's very heavy. The water slops out on the floor, and oh, it's such a mess. We walk in it, and you know, then here comes a Mother Superior. And to me, a Mother Superior, just as soon you turn loose a lion that's very hungry and let it come walking down that aisle as to see a Mother Superior in a convent. I was scared to death of her. Every time I saw that woman, somebody had to suffer, and we're afraid of her, and she knows we're afraid of her because she's cruel. See me near hot is callous, and here she comes. And you know, there we are washing. And I tell you, when she comes, and we know, you feel her presence before you ever see her. You know her footstep. And you know, we'll wash a little harder. But when she gets down here where we are, she might address me. And she'll say, you come out here. And I'm out there like a flash because I'm scared. And then she'll say, prostrate yourself down there and lick so many crosses on that floor. That's a cement floor. And of course, I have to prostrate my body and lick those crosses. And those are not the tiny crosses as far as I reach. I have to lick those crosses. And she watches my countenance. If I don't like it and she knows that I don't like it, then she might say 10. She might say 25. Say 10. She might say 25. And you know, then the next morning she may walk back through there again. And because she saw something in my face that made her to know I didn't like what she wanted me to do, she may call me again. My tongue by this time is sore. It's bleeding, but I have to look the crosses on the floor again. And then they do the same way about compelling us to crawl. They'll compel you to crawl, and may I say, it could be up and down an aisle like this 10 times, and it'll not be a beautiful rug like this. It'll be on a floor that you'll know what you're crawling on. And you know, I'm crawling, and I have to crawl like this upright. And my knees, don't they hurt? And I might make it 5 or 6 times, and then I might not have enough strength to go the other 3 or 4 times, and I'll faint. But she'll pour some cold water on me and tell me to crawl again. And may I say, then I'll try to finish it out, and maybe the next day she compels me to crawl again. By this time, there's scabs on my knees. I mean, those knees are sore, but I must crawl again. This is the life of a little nun. We're doing penance. And then when she teaches us to believe that God is looking down out of heaven, He's smiling His approval upon those little girls. And God is made happy through our suffering. And because we are heathens, we don't know any better. We've never read the Bible. We've never had any scripture. And so those little nuns are ignorant of the Word of God. You know, we are just raised under the tradition of the Roman Catholic Church. And we know nothing about this lovely gospel of Jesus Christ. And so we have to do these things. Then the Mother Superior might walk through the cell door. By the way, in our cells, there's nothing in there but the Virgin Mary, and that is, she's holding the baby Jesus, and there's the crucifix, and then we have a prayer board. And by the way, I'll assure you folk that you'll never want to kneel on our prayer board. We kneel on it every day if we are able to walk under our own power. It is a board about this height from the ground, and there are 2 leading up like this one, and this one is about that wide. I'm going to drop my knees down on it, and there's sharp wires coming up through that board, and then this one up here, I prostrate my arms on, there's going to be sharp wires. After all, I told you we were going to suffer. We were going to do penance, and this is a part of my suffering. And as I kneel on that prayer board, I'm praying for lost humanity, and I'm believing as I suffer that my grandmother will be released from a priest's purgatory sooner because of my suffering. And I'll kneel there longer sometimes. Oh, it's terrible, but we don't know any better, so we do that because that's all that little nun does know. And we believe it. And there we are, and we are locked in our cells. Every night the key is turned in those doors. We can't get up and come out of there. And then more than that, 7 minutes of 12. We go to bed at 9:30, the lights are out. 7 minutes of 12, there's 2 little nuns appointed to unlock every door. Every little nun again gets on her feet, dresses in full dress, goes into the inner chapel, and there we again pray 1 hour for lost humanity. We don't get very much sleep, that's why, and we don't have enough food, and we work hard, and we suffer much. That's why our bodies are so broken. That's why we seemingly don't have enough strength to carry on after we live there. But I'd like to say this to you as I go, before I go any farther. Now, I did those various things. We are taught to believe that as we spill our own blood, now we must do this. As I whip my body, if I torment it or torture it in any way that I spill blood, I'm taught to believe that I'll have 100 less days to spend in purgatory. Now, you know, we have no hope. Those little nuns don't look forward to anything. You may think they do, but we don't. Why? After you live in a convent 10 years, I began to realize the Virgin Mary is just a piece of metal. She's a statue. I began to realize St. Peter's just a statue. I began to realize that the statue of Jesus is just a piece of metal. In other words, we come to the place to believe that our God is a dead God. And I'll assure you, after you live in a convent long enough, not at first, oh no, but after we've suffered suffered enough after we've seemingly fallen down at the feet of those statues and spilled our tears on them and have begged them to intercede and get a prayer through to God, and years go by of whatsoever. A parent won't even know when they're dead. So who's going to pray us out of purgatory, or rather buy us out of purgatory? No, we realize after we're in there for a period of time that there is no purgatory. And of course, you know there isn't, and I know there isn't. And there is no purgatory. The only purgatory the Roman Catholic people have is a priest's pocket, and they're filling his pockets with coins in order to pray for the dead. And may I say, there are thousands and thousands of Roman Catholics. In the month of November, may I say to you, in United States, 2 years ago in the month of November, the Roman Catholic priests praying masses for the dead of the Roman Catholic people in this country in 1 month collected $22 million for masses said for dead Roman Catholics. That's just a little idea, our sample of what's going on in this country. And still there are thousands of mothers that will work their fingers to the bone to go over there and give the priest another $5 to say a mass for a loved one that's in a purgatory, because that mother believes there is a purgatory. In the convent they have a painting of purgatory, and there's nothing in the room but just that painting. And you know, every Friday we have to walk around that painting, and when we walk around it, I wish you could look at the little nuns' faces. What do I see? The painting, as you would walk around it, looks like it's a big deep hole out there, and there are people down in there, and the flames of fire is lapping around the bodies of those people, and their hands are outstretched like this, and the mother will say to the little nun, you better go and put another penance on your body. Those people are begging to get out of that fire, and because we're heathens, we don't know any better. I might go someplace to the convent, and maybe I'll burn my body real bad. Maybe I'll torture it some way and spill some more blood, because as I suffer, I believe they're going to get out of that place where a priest puts them. And there are millions of people, so to speak, in purgatory that your priest have put there, and when he knows it is the biggest fraud there is in the world, he knows there's not a bit of truth to it. And bless your heart, I often say you take purgatory and mass away from the Roman Catholic Church, you'll rob her of 9/10 of her living. She'll starve to death if you would take it away from her. She commercializes not only off of the living, but off of the dead, and on it goes. All right. It doesn't bother a Mother Superior to take one of those dear little girls. And may I say, you know, when the priests come into the convent, they come as our Father confessors. Once a month we go to confession. And we don't want to go, don't you worry. I many of the time have got in the very back row. I didn't want to go in there. I know who's out there. One of them, I may not know the particular man, but I know he's a priest. And I know those priests. I certainly have seen them enough. I've lived there long enough. I certainly have had contact with every one of them. And I'll assure you this one thing. I don't trust one single one of those in the convent. Now, we're not telling you about it. Every priest. I don't know all the priests. I'm just talking about the convent and my personal testimony of convent life. And you know, we know something about what's out in that room. And here we are. We know we're going to confession today. It may take all day long. And here he comes. And I have never seen a Roman Catholic priest come into the convent that I was in without intoxicating liquor under his belt. And I say, a man or a woman, regardless of who you may be, when you get liquor under your belt, you're not a man. Neither are you a woman. You become an animal and a beast. And so we have a beast sitting out there. There's a straight back hard bottom chair. No other furniture but the crucifix of the Virgin Mary. But here he is sitting on that chair right out there in the middle of that room. Now here a little girl has to walk out there alone. And she has to kneel down. Think of it. Why, bless your hearts, I really sometimes, I'm saved now, I'm out of the convent, and I now look back at that Roman Catholic priest, and I often say, I'm sure he was a twin brother to the devil, because he's full of sin, he's full of vice, he's full of corruption. And we go out there and kneel down at his knees. Now, you're a lucky girl if you get away from that man without being destroyed. Why, he's drunk. He's a beast. He's not a man. Oh, he has a holy habit on. He's an ordained Roman Catholic priest. And so I'll assure you, we don't like to go to confession, but we must go once a month. And those little girls can't help themselves, and nobody comes out into that room but the priest and I until it's all over, and then we can come back, and the next one will have to come. And I'll assure you, we don't appreciate that day. And those little girls don't know any better. They don't know anything about the plan of salvation. They don't know that Jesus went to Calvary and died for them. They don't know that he shed his blood for them. Those little girls know nothing about it, because to me, as I repeat again, the Bible was a hidden book to every one of those little girls. And so now they can do things like this. Now, if a Roman Catholic priest comes into the convent, he may go to the Mother Superior and ask her to permit him to go into the cell where one of the nuns are. And you know, that mother with her carnal mind and her carnal heart, and she's very hard and very carnal, and she is the mother many times of many illegitimate children. They belong to the priest. And you know, she'll take that priest and he's drinking. She knows it. They bring liquor in with them. Sometimes some of the nuns will drink with them, and the mother usually drinks with them. And it's really a terrible place. It is not a religious order. It does not live up to that name whatsoever. But here she brings that priest into one of our cells. Now, I wonder if you realize how serious it is. That Roman Catholic priest, he has liquor under his belt. We know that. But he has a big, strong body. He's had 3 square meals of food every day of his life. He can eat all the food that he wants. But you know, there's a little nun that may have a broken body, and she may not have very much strength. And what did he come into that cell for? For nothing other than to destroy that little nun. I often say I wish the government could walk into a convent just about the time one of those priests are let in the cell. The mother will turn a key in the lock, and you're locked in there with that priest. Now, we have no way to defend ourselves, and I often say I have had to nurse those little girls. I'm an RN. I got my nurse's training by going through the tunnel over to the hospital as I lived in an open order convent. But may I say, after that priest is taken out of there, if you could look upon the body of that little nun, she looks like something you've thrown out in a hog pen, and a half a dozen old sows have just mauled that child's body. And this is convent life. I can understand why your priests are calling over the phone every day or two and screaming their heads off because I'm in this city giving this testimony. But may I say to you, I don't mind if they continue to scream. I don't mind what they do. I'm not one bit afraid of them. I'll continue to give this testimony. As long as God gives me strength, I'll be giving this testimony regardless of your priests or your bishops in this country. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm saying. And I'm not afraid of anybody in all of this world. I'm a child of God. And I believe God won't let anybody put a hand on me until my work is finished. And then I often say, I don't care what you do to my body after I leave this body. I'm sure I don't mind. And so I will continue to give the testimony regardless of what your priests think about it. Because I think God saved me to pull the cover off of convents. I believe He saved me to uncloak those places that are riding under the cloak of religion. I believe that with all of my heart. I'll assure you I do. Now, if I refuse to give my body, you know we're just supposed to give our bodies voluntarily to those priests. Many times the nuns are overpowered. But if I refuse to give my body voluntarily to them, then you know he becomes very angry, and he goes immediately to the Mother Superior. Then when 2 carnal minds tend to come together, they can invent things that you and we don't have enough evil in our heart to invent things like that. We don't have enough sin in our lives to even think of such terrible things. And when those 2 carnal minds come together, the next time, I want you to know they're all ready. Now, the Mother Superior might say to me in a day or two, we're going to do penance. Now, the penance that they'll inflict on me is something that the Mother Superior and the priest has invented, and it can be very, very cruel. They might take me down into one of the dirty dungeons, and there's no floors in those places. And you know, they have a place down there. There are rods about 3 feet long. They have a burrow down into cement, and at the top of it, there's a ring about this big, sticking out of the ground. They have some leather straps fastened there. And when they take me down there, they put my foot, either foot through those rings, and then they strap my ankle securely. Now, I'm standing with my feet in those rings. All right, they're going out of there. They're going to leave me locked up in that place by myself, and it's a dirty place. Well, I might stand there for 2 or 3 hours if I have strength enough in my body, but what do you think's going to happen to me then? I can't stand any longer. Sometimes we faint, sometimes we just become exhausted and we go down. But when I go down, it flips my ankles over like that, and I can't do anything about it. I don't have what it takes for me to get up. I may have to lie in that position for 2 or 3 days, and no one will come near. They won't give me a bite of food. They won't bring me 1 drop of water, but I must stay there. And the next thing you feel is the bugs crawling over my body and the mice running over me, and I still have to stay there. I can understand why they don't want me to uncover. They don't want the world to know these things are going on. No priest in this country wants it. And if he doesn't want the world to know it, then they better be pretty careful that nobody ever gets out of a convent after they spent a few years back there. But may I say again to you, my God, He is greater than all the outside forces. My God can reach His hand over into those convents, this country, any other country, and make a way for a girl to come out, and He won't have to ask the bishop to help him. He won't have to ask the priest to help him. But God can make a way for us to come out. I'll assure you that. Well, on it goes. Then sometimes the priests come and they get angry at us because we refuse to stand with them voluntarily. And you know, after all, the nuns' bodies are broken after we're there a while. And many the time, to have him strike you in the mouth is a terrible thing. I've had my front teeth knocked out. I know what it's all about. And then we'll get you down on the floor and then kick you in the stomach. Many of those precious little girls have babies under their heart. And it doesn't bother a priest to kick you in the stomach with a baby under your heart. He doesn't mind. The baby's going to be killed anyway because those babies are born in the convent. Why wouldn't babies be born when you run places like this under the cloak of religion? The world thinks it's religious orders. And there are babies born in there. And most of the babies are premature. Many of them are abnormal. Very, very seldom do we ever see a normal baby. You say, Sister Charlotte, do you dare to say that? I most definitely do dare to say that. And I intend to keep on saying it. Why? I've delivered those babies with these hands. And what I've seen with my eyes and I've done with my hands, I just challenge the whole world to say it isn't true. And the only way they can ever prove it isn't true, they'll have to open, if they ever serve a summons on me and call me into court, I'll assure you this one thing. Convents are coming open, and then the world is going to know what convents really are, and they'll have to open them to vindicate my testimony, because I know what I'll do if they ever serve a summons on me. I've been before the highest laws we have in the United States. I know what I'm doing. I know what I can say, and I'm not one bit afraid to say it, because I have been a part of this. I've been connected with this system 22 years behind convent doors, and it is a terrible thing. When that dear little nun, looking forward to that day when her precious baby will be born. Most of you dear mothers, oh, you have everything ready. The beautiful nursery, all the baby's beautiful clothes are made. Everything is lovely. You're looking forward to that precious little immortal soul that's going to be born into your home. And everything is ready. And oh, I wish you could see that little nun. She's not looking forward to that. There won't ever be a blanket around his body. They'll never bathe that baby's body. But he can only live 4 or 5 hours. And then the Mother Superior will take that baby and put her fingers in its nostril and cover its mouth and snuff its little life out. And why did they build the lime pits in the convent? What is the reason for building them if it isn't to kill the babies? And that baby will be taken into the lime pit and chemical and lime is put over its body. And that's the end of babies. Oh, when I think about it. That's why I try to challenge people. Pray. If you know how to pray, you know how to contact God, pray and ask God to deliver the girls from behind convent doors. In other words, pray that God will make a way for every convent in the United States to be opened and let the government go in. And when the government goes in, you won't have to worry. The convents will be opened, the nuns will be taken out, and they'll be closed up, just as they opened the convents in Old Mexico in 1934. There are no convents in Old Mexico. Every cluster it is open, and they found all of the corruption back there, the lime pits. If any of you are taking a vacation, go over to Old Mexico. The government owns them. They're public museums. And go through the convent. Look with your own eyes. Touch with your own hands. And then come home and see if you believe my testimony. It'll stir every bit of red blood in your veins. I mean, it'll do something to you that nothing else has ever been able to do. Go through them and look at them. Go into the dungeons. Go into the tunnels. Go through the lime pit. Look at the skulls, rooms of skulls over there. And then ask the guides of where they come from. And go and see all of the devices of torture they placed upon the bodies of the little nuns. Go into their cells and look at their beds and see for yourself. Oh, yes, you can go. It'll cost you 25 cents to go through each one of them. You look at those things and see them for yourself and then come home, and maybe it'll give you a greater burden to pray for little girls that have been enticed behind convent doors by the hierarchy of the Roman Catholic Church. I wonder how you would feel if this was your child. And remember, I have a mother and daddy, or had one. And they love me just as much as you love your children. And when they let me go into the convent, I'm sure my mother and daddy didn't expect these things to happen because they didn't know. They never dreamed a convent was like this. But you know, I wonder how you'd feel if you could walk in someday and out there in this particular room. That floor is built for this purpose. There's a petition right out there, and there's just a little thing they can touch. It automatically opens. And you know there's a deep hole underneath that floor. And this little nun has done something. I can't tell you what she's done because I wasn't there when she done it. But she's done something. And to them it's very serious. And when they bring her to this particular place. Her little hands and feet are going to be bound securely. They're going to drop her in that horrible, horrible pit. And then they're going to put the boards back down. No one will ever know. Oh, there's plenty of chemical and lime down there. But you know, they don't do that. 6 little nuns have to walk around that hole. We'll chant as we walk around that hole. We don't want any evil spirits to come out into the convent, so we sprinkle holy water over that hole. Then we may walk for 6 hours, and then they'll appoint 6 more nuns. And on it goes until we hear the last moan. and that's the end of the little nun they placed down there. No, she'll never be delivered from the convent. But does it bother you to know that that little nun will die and be lost? Does that bother you? It bothers me, because I didn't know Jesus. I couldn't tell her about God. I didn't know him myself. But it bothers me very, very much. But God won't hold me accountable. Her blood will not be on my hands because I didn't know the Lord and I couldn't tell her about it. And so on it goes. Then I wonder how you like to see us. Here we are, a body of those little nuns. On this particular morning, the Mother Superior might say this. We're all going to be lined up here, and I don't know what she's lining me up for. And then, you know, there might be 10 of us, there might be 15 of us, and then she'll tell us all to strip. And we have to take every stitch of our clothing off. We're certainly not anything beautiful to look at. Our eyes are back in our head, our cheeks are falling in, our bodies are wasted. God only knows what we look like because I never saw myself in 22 years. I didn't know I had gray hair. I didn't know I had lines in my face. I didn't know how old I was. I only found that out about 6 years ago. You know nothing about what you look like. And here we are lined up. And here comes 2 or 3 Roman Catholic priests with liquor under their belt. And there they're going to march in front of those nude girls and choose the girl they want to take to the cell with them. These are convents. Cloistered convents, not open orders. The priest can do anything he wants to and hide behind the cloak of religion. And that same Roman Catholic priest will go back into the Roman Catholic churches, and there he'll say Mass. And there he'll go into the confessional box and make those poor people believe in sin and give them absolution from their sins. When he's full of sin, when he's full of corruption and vice, still he acts as their God. What a terrible thing it is. And on it goes. Well, I live there. Now, all the time these things are going on, what do you think's happening inside of Charlotte? God love your hearts. I didn't know people could hold so much hatred and bitterness. And it went on and on and on. I was filled with bitterness and hatred. And I mean, it continued to build. I began in my heart to think, when I can get the Mother Superior in a certain place, I'll kill her. Isn't it awful to get murder in our hearts? I didn't go in the convent with a heart like that, nor a mind like that. But I began to plan murder in the convent. How I could kill her, how I could kill a Roman Catholic priest, and on it goes. And oh, I tell you, every time she did fix something awful on my body that I'd have to suffer so terribly, when I could think sensibly again, then I would begin to plan, how could I kill that woman? And on it goes. Well, after all, you can't help it. For instance, I wonder how you would feel. The Mother Superior, here she is, and she's going to sit me down in a chair. And you know, that chair is straight back, hard bottom, and I don't have any hair. She's going to take everything off my head. And you know, she's going to put my hands like this. They'll be out here in stalks. And I'm going to have to bend my head over like that in order to put the stalks across my neck. And I'm fastened securely. And over my head there is a faucet of water. And you know... Sorry. There's a faucet of water just above my head, and my head's over. Now that mother's going to turn that water on, just a drop, and the drop will just come about this fast. It'll hit me right there on the back of my head. And you know, I can't move either way. I sat there 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. What do you think's going on? I'm sitting there. I can't move. I'd do everything to get away from that drop of water in the same spot on my head. Why, God love your hearts, if you could look in. You'd see us frothing at the mouth. You'd see those little girls. They're trying so hard to move, to get away from that water. And they let us stay there sometimes 10 hours, all day long. Many, many times a little nun cracks up completely. She goes stark raving mad under this particular penance. What in the world do they do with her? I tell you in a few minutes. Don't you worry. They have a place for us after we go mad in the convent. They take care of us. They have places for the little nuns. There's places built down there for us. Well, on it goes. Well, you know, these things went on and went on and went on. And it was terrible. But, you know, I began to plan and plan and plan. After she's done something like that to me, it's terrible. One day, the Mother Superior took violently ill. You say, who would take her place? There are about 3, sometimes they have 4 older nuns. And they always pick the one that's hard. The one that seemingly is carnal. That one that has no conscience. To be a Mother Superior. And she works under this one. One day if something happens to the main Mother Superior, another one will take her place. And on it goes. But you know, this particular day, they sent word to me. The Mother Superior, I was to come into her room. She's very sick. And quicker than lightning, I began to think, if I get in that Mother Superior's room, I know what I'll do. You know, after all, I'm a sinner. I'm a nun, but I'm a sinner. And I don't know God. And I have a lot of hatred in my heart. And I walk in that room. They have called in an outside Roman Catholic doctor. She's a very sick woman. And he has left all orders. and they left the medicine and everything. Now I'm supposed to take care of her, and that was wonderful. I do take care of her. All day long I did what they told me to do, what I'm supposed to do. And those particular tablets, I knew what they were, and I knew what they would do and what she was taking them for. But anyway, all day long I gave her her medicine. I done everything I'm supposed to. All evening long. Why? I want to be sure what I'm doing. What I do, I have to be careful. And you know, I waited until 1 o'clock in the morning. Why? Because every night those little nuns have to be gotten out of bed and go chant from 12 to 1, 7 minutes to 12 to 1. I thought I'll wait till all the nuns go back to bed, then I'm going to do something. And bless your hearts, after they were all back in their beds, I'll tell you what I did. I took 5 or 6 of those tablets. I was only supposed to take one in a half a glass of water every after they were all back in their beds. I'll tell you what I did. I took 5 or 6 of those tablets. I was only supposed to take one in a half a glass of water ever so often and give it to her. But because of the type they were and what the type of tablet it was, I knew what it would do. I put 6 of them in a glass of water and stirred them up, and I gave them to her. I knew she would go into convulsions. It would twist her completely out of shape. I knew that woman would suffer 1,000,000 deaths within 25 minutes. I knew that. And I thought, I'm going to watch her suffer. So many thousands of times I watch her suffer. Isn't it terrible to think a child can live in a place like that long enough until she has the same kind of a heart almost the Mother Superior has? But that's what comes when sin gets in your life. And so I waited. You know, I gave them to her, and something happened to me. I got scared. And I looked at that woman, and she began to change color. And I couldn't find her pulse. I couldn't find her respiration. I was frightened. And I thought, oh, what shall I do? If they find her dead, only God knows what they'll do to me. I'll tell you what I did. I got that stomach pump as quick as I could. I pumped that woman's stomach. I massaged that woman. I done everything there was to do. Oh, thank God she didn't die. I said, I thank God. But you know, I sat down by the bed and held her hand and watched her carefully until the respiration came back normal, until her pulse was normal, and I felt she would live. And I thought of another thing. I'll do this then. I saw where her keys were hid in her shelf right there in her own room. So they're on a big chain or on a big ring, and I thought, I'm going to take those keys. I'm going down into that dungeon. When I say down, this is 2 stories under the ground. I'm going someplace where she's always warned us. It's a solid wall like that, and clear to the back end of that wall, there's one door, and it's heavy, and it's always locked. And I've heard her tell me scores of times, and I'm sure she has the others, don't ever try to go through that door. What in the world is over there? And why did she tell us that? We can't get through it. It's locked. But you know, I wondered what was back there. Because when they had me in the dungeon for a long time once, I heard screams out of the ground. I heard such blood-curdling screams, and I knew there were some girls locked up somewhere. And so I'm going through there if I find a key. And so I got her keys, and I went into that particular place. And when I got back there, it took a while to do it. I want you to know, to find the key. But it unlocked that door. I walked through that door, and I walked into a hall. The hall, I would say, was maybe 5 feet wide, maybe wider than that. That's just a guess. And anyway, on the other side of the hall, there were a number of cells over there, small rooms, and they had real heavy doors. And in those cells were little nuns. And when I went up to the first one, near the top of the door, there's a little place about this long, it's about that wide, and it has iron bars going across there. And I looked right into the face of a little nun that I knew, one that I'd sit across the table from, one that I've prayed with in the chapel. I knew that girl, and here she is, and they had chains and lock chains around either of her wrist and around her waistline. And I said, when did you have something to eat last? And no answer. How long you been here? No answer. I went down to the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and the stench was getting so bad I couldn't stand it. And you know, those little girls would not talk. Why? I lived in the convent, you know, a long time. I don't care if I was 2 miles under the convent, way back there. We were working back there, and we'd whisper. The next day I'd have to suffer because the convents are wired. And the Mother Superior can hear every voice, every whisper, and then somebody tells, and you're in some serious trouble. And those nuns has been there long enough. What have they done? I don't know. But those nuns are supposed to have cracked up mentally, and so they have put them in those chains. And when they die, they can't fall down to the floor. They're just dropping those chains and slump. When they go in there, they don't give them any more food, no more water. That's a slow death. And so as I saw all of that, I became so sick from the terrible stench because many of them are already dead. And I don't know how long they've been dead. I came out of there and walked back up to this room where the Mother Superior was, and she was lying there sleeping. And I watched her carefully, and she slept till the next day, long, long hours, and didn't waken. And when she did, she said, I've had a long sleep, and I said, yes. They let me take care of her for 3 days, and you know the 3rd day? I don't know. You say, did she ever find out you was down there? Well, not yet. I hope she didn't while I was there. But anyway, 3 days they put me out in the kitchen. In other words, when we go to the kitchen, 6 of us go for a 6 weeks period. On this particular time, they put me out in the kitchen with 5 other little nuns. What am I there for? I'm doing the kitchen work. I'm going to do all the cooking that's done out there and take care of the work in the kitchen. And so when I went out in the kitchen, we have a long table back here, and it's a work table. And our vegetables will be prepared for the soup, and that's what we were doing, all 6 of us. And something happened. Our kitchen is a very large room, and a very long room, not as wide as it is long. And over at one end of it, you'll find over here the stair steps leading, about 4 of them leading down. Then there's a landing right there. Over there is a big, heavy outside door. But here there's a landing. Our garbage cans sit there. And right here is a stairway, cement one, leading down 1 story under the ground. Now, I'm up on 1st floor in this kitchen. All right, as I'm in there and we're there working, something happened. Somebody touched a garbage can. You know, all my convent life, we are taught never to break silence. We don't dare to make noises in the convent. We are punished for them. And when something touched the garbage can, that's a noise. And who in the world? 6 of us, and we're all together. Who's touching the garbage can? I wheeled around, and they wheeled around, and we saw a man. And you know, that man was picking up the full can, leaving an empty one. I've never seen that before. I've been in that convent for years, and in the kitchen, but I never saw anything like that happen. I believe God had his hand on me. With all my heart, I believe it. And you say, what happened? Well, we turned around quickly because to us, it's a mortal sin to look upon a man other than a Roman Catholic priest. And I mean, we turned around quick and went to our work. But you know, I thought, if that man comes back again to get another full can, I'm going to give him a note and I'm going to ask him if I can run out with him. But I didn't do that. But you know what I did? When we run out of something in the kitchen, there's a pencil hanging up there on a chain. And bless your heart, I have to, or whoever it is that runs out, you have to write it on a tab. And of course, I stole a piece of paper off of a sack. And I thought I'll carry that little piece of paper in my skirt pocket. And every time I can get a hold of that pencil, I'm going to write a word or 2 on a note. And that's what I did. It took quite a while to do it. But I watched that garbage can. Every time I could take the garbage down there, I did it. And you know, when it was just about full, and I thought the next evening, it'll be full when we put all the garbage in it. And so that afternoon, I broke my crucifix, and I laid it up on a shelf, and I had a hard time doing it because they're watching me. But I did it, and I laid it up on a shelf, and I did that to have a way to get back to that room, of course. And so when our dinner work is over, our supper dishes, everybody has to go out at the same time, and we march by the Mother Superior. And you know, when I marched by, I stopped and said, please, may I speak to you? And I did. And I said, Mother Superior, I broke my crucifix and I left it in the kitchen. May I go for it? And of course, no nun goes without her crucifix. And she said, how did you break it? I lied to her. Everything she asked me, I lied to her. You say, why did you lie? She lies to us. And we're all sinners, so we all lie. And it doesn't make any difference in there. And so we lied. And I lied to her. And then finally she said, you go get the crucifix and come right back. And that's all I wanted anyway. I have to have a reason. You can't go back to the kitchen after you've left it. And so I didn't go for the crucifix, but she thought I did. And I run for this tin can. Why? That night when I put my garbage in there, I put a note right on top of that garbage and left the lid off, which I was not supposed to do. And you know, I said on the note to the garbage man, if you get this, won't you please help me out? Won't you do something to help the little nuns out? I told him about those 19 cells down there and those 19 nuns in him. I told him about some of the babies that have been killed. I told him some other little nuns that are locked up in the dungeons and they're bound with chains. I told him a plenty. And I said, won't you help us? And if you will, please leave a note under the empty can. That's what I went back for. And when I lifted up the can and found a note, you don't know how I felt. I froze to the floor. I was so scared I didn't know what to do. I picked that piece of paper up and I read, and this is what that man said. I'm leaving that door unlocked, and I'll leave the big iron gate unlocked. You come out. Oh, let me tell you, that's almost more than you'd ever... Why, I never dreamed I'd get out of a convent. I never thought of ever getting out. I wanted out, but you say, oh yes, when I could collect myself. I reached over and turned the knob, and you know it was unopened. I walked out of that convent, and I slammed it to. I was sure the lock was on it, and I got out to the big iron gate, but oh, he had me trapped.
REFM.
That iron gate was just as locked.
Thought-provoking, always smoking. Lyrics like a bazooka. You are listening to Muta Baruka.
Ayata.
Yeah, better.
Where I say?
Cutting edge.
We know that. Yeah, so you see? You up on the air?
Yeah, you're up on the air.
For a long time we not talk and me notice you even give me the check where you say I say come check me.
You know, so we realize I want to talk to me now.
You see there. No.
We realize I want, oh, you know, man. What a year from you, man. You stop this to cutting edge, man.
Come on, man. Now you mean me stop listening? I'm there. I'm want to tell you say when you meet up down so with Marcus Sunday and all them something. They may try call you from them the time straight until now. Me no stop take me lesson, man.
All right, sir. Glad to hear from you, man.
You know me talk when you go down Africa there and you Marcus Sunday down there.
Yeah, down at Gambia.
Yeah, down at Gambia. Let me not listen everything, man.
Yeah, man.
So me say, you know, say tomorrow I'm a strong and tomorrow I will be strong to do.
Eh?
They know you mean.
Me never remember say you strong. Tomorrow rebel strong again.
No, man, tomorrow, man.
Okay, all right.
Me and him one of the same. Yeah, that's what I say.
All right, sir. Pure strong, man.
All right, sir. Like you may say tomorrow, this morning.
Yeah.
So when me I beg you now, me I beg you a copy of this tape. Because about 4 times I listen.
Let me just play it.
Yeah. And me I beg you a copy of the one of the Jehovah Witness one that you know.
Which Jehovah Witness one?
You know, remember the Jehovah Witness?
Yeah, remember the player.
You see the teacher, the student.
Remember.
A teacher and student. You come in like say the student know where I go and want the teacher.
No, remember, man. All right, all right. You're the problem with them things and all. You see that computer I use?
Yeah.
It don't have a burn upon it for burn CD, but you can take a jump drive. So I don't know if you're up to jump drive.
Yeah, me up to that, man. Me up to that.
We'll get a jump drive.
So what me that do? Me that have to go send it up at your base.
Yeah.
Come like cousin, they come check you up at your base up there.
Yeah.
Him they tell us where.
They plan something.
Right. Him come and him tell me say you let him in your house, you let him in your house and thing, man, and go right through motor house, man.
Yeah.
You look you to drive, you look a bus there from down below you there, so there's
yeah, man,
all right.
So you have to go remember to deal with it.
Yeah.
So I look like the teacher now remember things.
Alright, put everything good with the family.
Yeah, man, we are go through, man. Give thanks, man.
Strength, everything pretty.
Yeah, man, give thanks to you for you, man.
Rastafari. So we talk, okay?
Yes.
Alright, bless.
Yes, may I tell you, sweet call that. That is a sweet call. Believe you me, is a sweet call. Trust me, sweet call. Step in, cutting edge.
I'm telling you,
When they are stepping and cutting edge at the same time. All right.
Hello, Muta.
Yes, sir.
A Papa DC man, great man, yeah? Are you named Great Man? You know? Remember me, the only man called a Great Man.
All right, sir.
Yeah, you remember flying that.
Wait, say you're the only man call me Great Man?
Yeah, because you're a great man. You take up Marcus Garvey.
Peter Bunting call me so too.
No, him come after me, man. That's the first man call you Great Man, because he's a great man.
All
you
right,
don't know that.
All right, sir.
Yeah, remember me, Papa DC. Me and Kingston, them link in England. I get a weed there.
All right, sir. So where they know? You're there in England still?
No, man. I want to plant with that chill.
You talk too much in the mic, in the phone.
All right. Because my phone now works all right. This is what me I say, Muta. You see the tape you play with the Muslim man, tape 1.
The Muslim man.
Yeah, remember tape 1 when I tell you about this Jesus business, all kind of something.
No, which you have to remind me.
August gone, man. August gone. And you said I should go on YouTube and get that, because you're not going to give no one it.
No, me never say me now give no one. Me I say, I better you get it on the YouTube. Because
No, me just come back in here and told Jamaica run. You know, you are a journalist, you know. Remember, you're a journalist. You're a man. Sort out your thing them before you deal with them. And you're a man know things. You don't go talk things. You check out the thing them. That's how I deal with it. Kingston can tell you that and land and ask it. How me stay. And me are the man that call a great man. I mean to deal with nonsense. Right. This is when I say to you, great man.
Yes,
me want pay for that tape because me want to get it. The one from down Egypt. You remember the brother in Egypt? The Muslim man.
Well, I try to remember where you're talking about.
The tape that gone August ago, man. You have tape 3, tape 2, and tape 1.
Shadows. I mean, that's about money one at a time. The original have money too?
Yes. I need that. I need it, you know, because all of my tape what I take from Jamaica to England, they steal them in England.
Let me ask you a question. You use computer?
Computer. I use computer. I'm just back in the country.
Hold on, man. May I explain something to you?
Yeah.
If you use computer, go on YouTube and put Shadows, Money, and then you will get it, the tape. You understand what I'm saying? Shadows Great 1, man. Shadows 2.
Great man, listen to me carefully.
Yes.
You are taking you from a little boy when you do your poem from little barefoot.
Yeah, you're still barefoot. But you're going to do it when I tell you to do it, you're going to keep talking about it.
Yeah, no, me have to do what you say.
Go to YouTube.
Yeah.
And put Shadows 1 and Shadows 2.
Alright, tell you what, Melo. Don't call back a man and get all the information.
No, but you don't need no more information more than what me just tell you.
No, because at this moment, I'm not in the position to have pen to write down this and write down
you
that.
don't need to write down that, Bridget. You go to YouTube and put in Shadows 1 and Shadows 2, and then you will see it, and then all you have to do is just listen to it from this.
Alright, Shadows 1 and Shadow 2.
Yeah, Shadows, not shallow. Shadows.
Shadows.
SHADOWS. Shadows.
Yes.
Yes.
And you will get the tape. Right, you know.
And you will get the tape. Yeah, and you will get the tape them. Alright?
Alright, great man. Remember me name Papa DC, they call a great man.
Alright, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Why motor the tape that touching bad.
I tell you.
Touch I remember bad. Where they see me couldn't wait for later for shout.
So where are the first to hear it?
Me not remember hearing it.
Yeah.
No,
but you know, sometimes you hear it before, and then when you hear it again, at the time when you hear it again, it really touch you, you know.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. It's terrible.
Trust me, man. Trust me.
Terrible thing, terrible. You didn't know, say. I now call the name of the church in Jamaica, you see?
Mm-hmm.
Them did find some bones of some little children.
You talk about it all the time.
Under the altar. Yes, some little children. That's how the days when them used to ball the nun them head. Them stop ball nun head don't do.
About a long time. Me here say, we always hear talk say, no, say, priest them, with the nun them, with the boy them, and then sitting
there. Up to now. Yeah, man, the little altar boy them, man, abuse the little altar boy them, terrible. Some of them grow up big now and just feel to talk about it.
Yeah.
When them the little, you know, now that them come big man now and people can't do nothing to them. Them just start to talk about it. A well-known man in Jamaica was guilty of that until one time little gay guys them kill him. Yes, one time little gay guys them kill him, man. Well-known man too. Big executive man.
Anyway, Muta, I get a fine warning, so I have to talk to you later. From a little 6-year-old gonna be 7th Friday.
Yeah, serious?
Yeah, man, and say, Grandma, I hope you call Uncle Muta Thursday now. Make him talk about my birthday.
Alright. I will have to call you to her to remind me, I know.
No, I forgot. No, I'm going in the house. I'm asleep now.
Alright.
Like, come over and help me. I have to call you. Alright.
Yep.
No, I'm going in the house. I'm asleep now.
Alright.
Like, come over and help me. I have to call you. Alright.
Yeah, man, blessed. Give thanks.
Later.
Yes.
Greetings.
Yes, cutting edge.
Nearly I.
Rastafari.
Give thanks and praise to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords and conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah, you know? Yeah, man, me give thanks to the motor.
Yeah, man.
And me I tell you, say, it's what you do, and not for yourself, you know, because you know that already.
No, well,
I just see me and ones out here, you know?
Alright, you know, say, when we on the radio, I couldn't feel myself. Would I be
yeah, but you don't know. Knowledge has to be shared, you know?
Yeah, man, of course. And that's cutting edge they have to do.
Boy, me I tell you, Mota, trust me, cutting edge make me know myself, you know? And make me feel powerful, me I tell you.
What you mean, man? You listen to all them tape, them, and you wonder that's where I go on.
Boy, me I tell you,
the system set up and make you feel that you are the wicked one, you know?
You see?
Yeah, man, they make you feel that you are the terrible one, you know, when I really them.
Boy, me I tell you, Mota, me I tell you, enough time looking at myself and me I say, Jano, where was I from birth to join this mad crew, yeah, man? Because me have myself say he's a mad crew, me and say me he's a madman, you know. Because you know, say more time when me reason with some people, them say me a madman.
Oh, yeah?
And you know what I notice? You see, for, you know, go the way of life as the majority of people, and, you know, believe in what them believe and think the way them I think and agree with them position.
Them say you're mad.
You're a madman. Yes, car. Me don't know much about Bedward, you know. But as far as me I get to understand, them did say boy Bedward was a madman too.
A whole heap of man. Then wait there. You know much time Leonard Oil go Bellevue. Enough time Leonard go Bellevue, man. Them charge him for lunacy, them charge him for sedition, treason, all sort of thing.
Why? Most of them thing there, you know. When them used to do them thing there to our ancient them, you know. It's just to discourage the rest, you know.
Of course.
Yeah, man, because for a man, a brand say you're a madman and then take you off the street and charge you for sedition or put you at the madhouse or hospital or thing like that. He used to tell the followers, boy, but hold on, when that man you're really mad. So you see if you're not strong in your meds, you go just give up the fight, you know.
Yeah. That,
yeah, man.
Then you know, so them also, a pregnant woman in a slavery, her husband, them also time between two hearts and beat him, you know, and make the pregnant woman watch that, you know what that for?
See impact on her baby.
Yeah, that's when the baby come. She won't make the baby rebel against slavery.
Oh.
Because when she look and see where go on with fear husband, you know, she don't want fear picnic go through that, you know.
No, sir.
So she make her baby become, she make her baby become so passive. And him grow up so passive that him start to accept slavery as a normal thing. You know, see it? And them still do it, you know.
Caught up in that.
Yeah, them still do it, you know.
You know that, man. That's why I just sang a place where boy, you can't give up your sanity, you know.
Yeah. You think if Paul Bogle was alive now, them would have said my hero?
You're mad.
Them would have roll him down and shoot him same way. You think if Sam Sharp was alive now, you think say the Minister of Security would have heal him up as a hero?
You're mad, man.
I tell you, man. You think if Taki was alive now, you think the Minister of Security and the Prime Minister would have run up and down and say, boy, this man is a great man?
No, sir.
Okay. Well,
them just a right man, them back through them dead already.
Yeah, through them dead already. Yeah. That's one of them did that fight against personally too.
Aye. Because me I reason with some brethren and sister in the motor, and I say, boy, the church have its rightful position, you know, but them just don't know it, and them just don't know how to do it. Because instead of working, them just believe. Them just want to go the easy way. So me always refer to Paul Bogle and Sam Sharp. I say, look on them man are deacon, you know.
Yeah.
And them man use the church to organize themselves to fight against the system and oppress them.
Rebel against the system.
So me I say, want to that the spirit in the church, that the spirit dead? Why is it that everybody sit back and wait for a man to come deliver them out of them trouble?
Them put you another spirit now, you man. Them put another spirit now you right now. That's why you're still gonna play domino and drink rum.
Boy, me I tell you in the motor. Me give thanks and praise for knowledge, and me give thanks and praise for the many ancient when me live for come see the show the way, you know? Yeah, I remember 1963 motor, if the man them did give up, maybe I wouldn't know what I know right now.
Yeah, man, give thanks, brethren.
Man, so me giving no thanks, man.
All right, sir, give thanks.
So just go and blaze the fire, and just line up for Tom Drive, you know, because, you know, sound like you said that tape available on YouTube, you know.
No, we just try, but yeah, man, it's supposed to, watch everything there on YouTube, if it's even, when we just play, yeah, also tomorrow,
yeah,
man.
The one we just play, what name?
Sister Charlotte, a man will put this, when we just go a while ago, a man will put it on YouTube. By Friday, you hear to see that on YouTube, man.
Sister Charlotte.
Yeah. All right.
Man, give thanks to you.
What's your name?
Muta Baruka.
Yes, sir.
Glad to get you. Long time I won't call you, man.
All right, sir. Well, you're there now.
Yeah, man, it's long time I watch YouTube, man. Well, I shouldn't say long time. I should say about from a year or two ago. I watch your video them on YouTube and I take in the message.
Okay.
But me personally as a youth, I'm 22 years old and we raised Roman Catholic.
Yes.
Yeah. And from a reach, about fifth form, coming out of high school, I start to look at the world differently. Yeah. But now I tell you lie still, the herb kind of help. Yeah, you smoke the herb, you start, as Bob said, it introduces you to your real self, your true self.
Okay.
You know? And as me start to look into the world and see it for what it is, you see me? And you start to see the little facades, them and illusions that them put up for guide our lives by. You see me? I as a youth, me not tell no lie, I get vexed.
Yeah, but you must get vexed.
What you mean, man? Come looking and say, oh, what kind of world is this? Me as 22. 10 years from now, what kind of world am I going to live in? 20 years from now, what kind of world my youth are going to grow up and witness and live in? What kind of society? What kind of values and morals are going to guide film life? You see me?
And what the answer you get?
Me?
When you ask the question,
it's nothing good, Muta. I don't see nothing good.
Well, you know, them say the majority of youth now would have give up them Jamaican citizenship for go live abroad. You see that on the TV today?
So you mean, yeah?
Them say the majority
I have a
of
lot
youth.
of friends that would have said the same thing.
Yeah, them say the majority of youth them right now would have prefer go foreign and live Jamaica.
Well, when you look at Jamaica right now and the economic situation, I mean, you can't blame them. What are the leaders really doing to incentivize the youths to stay here? You see me? To invest in Jamaica. Yeah? The America giving them and other countries giving them more incentive to come there and start a new life. Yeah? But it's not even in Jamaica, it's all over the world. We're going into a crisis sooner or later. And I was listening earlier and to that Reginald was talking earlier. And he was saying that him can't understand with the church and why nobody is doing anything. They've become so complacent. And that is just the mindset of the church. Yeah? To be in the church is to be complacent. Cause that
is where they make you passive too. Especially now.
Yeah, of course. And in my whole research and medicine of this whole thing, I come up with a thing called the superhero complex or the superhero ideal. Yeah? Let me explain that. When you check out like Revelation, yeah? And majority or most Christians like to refer to this book a lot. The end days when you know the trumpet sound and the seals break, right? And all evildoers shall be smite and all good shall be brought up to heaven. They look at that as the true revelation of all things. So when them see anything bad happening, them say, no, we leave it alone. Because, you know, it's just a sign of end days.
The end days, yeah.
We can't do anything about it.
The prophecy don't tell you that's how it's going to go already.
Yeah,
prophecy don't tell you that's how it's going to go, so you can't do nothing about it.
So them play along with it, not knowing that these problems are
them make it. Of course,
we create it and we can stop it, but that's what we're getting now to the whole superhero thing. Yes. Where you're waiting for one day
superhero,
to fly
Superman
out of
and
the sky
Batman, yeah, man.
and come and save you.
And some me know say me a youth, you know. You know so how me know say me a youth because me a think same like you. And some me know say me a youth because the same way you think I same way me think. Same way. Them a look for a Batman or a Superman to come out when them a create the mischief.
And them refuse to acknowledge these problems and face them head on. But you see, the next thing when we preach is that you see mankind like to be lied to.
Yeah.
You see me?
Yeah, man, they prefer
the lie sweet way more than the truth.
Yeah, man.
The truth bitter.
And them say ignorance is bliss, you know, and there's a lie too, because ignorance is not bliss.
I want to tell anybody who watching or anybody who want to watch the first hour of the Matrix movie.
Yeah.
You don't have to watch the whole thing or the other two movies.
You know, there's a black woman write. You know, there's a black woman write it. Yeah, man, black woman write the Matrix, man. Believe me.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
When you look into the first hour of the Matrix and what is happening to Neo and the message that Morpheus is sending to him.
Big message there, man.
It's a big message because it relates to what is happening here and now with all of us.
Oh, me don't know you, brethren. Oh, me don't know you. I see me think like, hey, me I forgot know you, you know, because you think for the same line when me I think, yeah.
Yeah, Muta.
Me I forgot know you, man. How much you is, brethren?
I'm 22.
Watch them. I could have been your grandfather. I could have been your father. Father.
Yeah, man.
Anyway, one day we meet still. Here, brethren.
What you mean, Muta?
All right.
But you see, the Matrix show you that we have become so docile in the system and we become so complacent in the way things are and the way things are going that even if change happens, we never notice.
We accept it.
We accept it. Yeah? And it's like I was having an argument with my friend the other day about the whole New World Order thing. And I don't like to call it that because it has some conspiracy connotations towards it.
Well, that because it's a conspiracy, not true still, you know. People why make you feel it's a conspiracy appear lying.
Not necessarily, you know, but I don't want to give it that kind of
understand.
Vibe towards it.
It's like when I like say chikungunya.
Right.
It can't be African and chikungunya, I call it for years.
Right, Muda. So we're arguing about it and him look at me and say that can't happen because mankind will never allow it. Look at him straight and I say, but how you know it's not happening right now? It could be taking place right now and you never know because all you're doing is going along with the trend, with the way the world is moving.
Yes.
And nobody is there to stop it.
So nobody now do nothing about it.
Nobody now do nothing.
Watch out, for move, Bridget, you hear?
Alright, Muta. No worry, man. No shout you back.
No worry. Cutting edge. Yes, blessed.
Yes, respect, Sam. Hey, Mota.
Yes, sir.
I'm calling you, but now I was on the same program in the family. Yeah, I Virgin. Because I went to talk to my brother and I asked him, boy, you know.
So where they know?
So, and I knew you after there.
Oh, I knew you after there, alright.
So I asked my brother, if he know him, I said, yeah. He might say, you fuck up 12 times. I don't think you carry up there, like, every one of them the last days when I meet them, I keep by the last Sunday. I remember.
Me used to be at 12 tribe. Me used to be at 12 tribe.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, I mean, if you know him, man. Him used to be at 12 tribe. Him used to be at 12 tribe too, you know.
Yeah, man, I know that.
Yeah,
come on. I'm a brother. I tell him about the radio. Yeah, man, move and know the dread, man.
Yeah, man, I'm a Regiment, man. Me and him and Opie Judah and Banga and all them, man, they used to spar up. Reggae. From down on North Street, come right up. Yeah, man, remember, man.
Yeah, man. Hey, Mota, you ever hear about a brother up the alley now? His name Shaka Amos. You know the same thing what you do, but him having up on the street. You can't look him up, man. Him wicked, man.
Power 25th Street, him depend. Him sell book Power 25th Street.
Yeah.
Eh?
Yeah, man, 126, yeah.
Yeah, I think I come in contact with him already.
Yeah, man.
I think I come in contact with him.
See, man, I beat it hard and I give it to the Muslim, then, you know?
Yeah.
That's about the time, man. Now, when you tell a man to go and be in those games, you know, and you can't just... Man, I said to do this and do that, you know, because the man will take you out, you know, when you have blow whistle, you know.
You cut up, though. Your phone are cut up, yes or no? Your phone are cut up.
Oh. Yeah, so you know, man, do the same thing and I try to... But we don't know still, you have your power still, and a man never try nothing there, you know?
Well, we don't know if we just go on through, you know? We can't make that stop still. We have to go through. No fear, Yeah, cut up. I would I'm looking at them, I watch. So I eat you, and I'm sure I watch. Some of your things that I have dealing and I should go to church all the while. Yeah. I ask them about Jesus, I have to listen. That Jesus doesn't exist. And I tell her, Daddy, what are you saying? So she asks her auntie, I go to church, and I say, you know, see your father, man. Oh, that's how your auntie tell the people.
Yo, you have to do it. Yes, we have to understand, say. And the youth, they have to start from it. That's what we're not going to make my youth, them coming in of slavery and of church.
But come like your youth, I will start telling you you're a madman too because your auntie, because the auntie.
No, man, you know, say, honestly, still, she listen whatever me I say, and she watch the thing with me and she ask a question.
Okay, well, that good.
Yeah, man, she not really see them really like she rate me like that, you know? Yeah, man.
All right, Bridget, give thanks.
Yeah, man, but today I listen, man, give thanks more.
Yeah, man, all right, man.
Respect.
All right.
Too much war. It's the new world order. Too much suffering in the land. It's the new world order. My people. It's the new world order.
Yeah, the man called Ken Booth. Album called Journey. Music called New World Order. Yes, Cutting Edge.
Yes, good night, Uncle Muta. Kev.
How you doing, man?
Good, man. How you do, sir?
I'm there. I know I got you again, you know. Do the work.
I got you. Sister Charlotte, they're on YouTube for a long time, for anybody we are
see, you know, so that's settled now, that's settled. That's settled.
I think Sister Charlotte, the nun or something like that, and it pop up.
Yeah.
And none text me.
Beautiful. See me whole heap of problem, you know.
Yeah, whole heap of time to go burn it, you know.
No, well, I do for burn
like
it.
how the young people a while ago, you know. The young learn a few things for them, you know.
Little you there, yeah, man.
Man, I don't take a reason.
I see him and think, you know, that's what I think.
I listen to Sister Charlotte a few times still, and it's like a horror movie, really, when you're listening, you know.
That me say too, I tell you, it's a horror movie.
Yeah, I heard some horrible things, man.
Hey, I should just talk about a little bit, you know. Hey, they have some movie where they make, you know. They make it, you know. And if they must show you some things where them do, you wouldn't believe, say, you them talk about Muslim do this and people, atheists do this and this. Hey, if you ever know some things where them people they do in the church, you know, Rasta. In the monastery, them and the convent, them, you know. She had talk about some things there right now, and there's no reason for disbelief, you know, because my mother, give thanks to my mother, you know, because my mother used to read about Europe more than she read about Africa. And as she make me come know about all certain things we are going in Europe, you know, King James and you know, I hear a daughter up on TV, I say King James wasn't a homosexual, and I tell her, I say, where she get them things from, and which book she read, and where she get that history from, to say him is not. When all of the history me read, and it's not people who are against it, are right. It's just him. It's just so him stay. I mean, it's that. Him have love.
I said about the demonology book. I want to get a copy of the demonology book.
Yeah, you know, so when my mother used to tell me about the history, you know, Marco Polo and, you know, Sir Francis Drake, and at school, me go learn about them things, you know. And my mother, me hear and listen to them something there. So when me come get interested in them things, you know, me I say, to understand African history, more time you have to go in Europe too.
Yeah,
you can't just isolate yourself. If you notice the big African scholars like Benyo Cannon and Shekanti Diop, them man they know European history like the back of them head, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
So them really come and disrupt African history, Europeans, you know.
Yeah, man, you have to study Europe.
Like church people, and you realize them not really in a Catholic, you know, because they must say, boy, you want to know, say, the Pope are wicked and thing. But me I say, the things that them do, how them practice in that church, will hand down to you. So it's like, them here follow really, and we don't tell them that they must say, boy, you know, it's a wicked and thing. But me used to go to church still in and used to take our communion, see? And me never understand what me I do till when you talk now, I say, boy, you drink your wine and you eat the bread. And thing and
it become the body. It's the body of Jesus, man.
Yeah, and the wine supposed to turn the blood. Me at the time me never understand. Me just go and do.
Follow, yeah, man.
So when me looking at them things, me I say, wow, you know, the next thing also this prayer breakfast thing. Why them not go down at the place go a place where only for crime and commit and do this on a communal level with the people them.
Because them want to sit down in a hotel with air condition and sit down around table with different fork if you cut that and different knife if you cut that. And believe say Jesus will listen to them. Because them are pray for the land. Look how much people there, 1,000 people get murdered in Jamaica last year. And we don't talk about car accident. We don't talk about death from disease where people are named wrong food and bad food.
Yes.
You know, so, you know, I mean, and a couple thousand more that, you know. When I talk about chickpea.
My man murdered his wife and picked me, a wife and sent me here recently.
Yeah. Portland.
And some man say, we can't just sit down and wait for somebody continue. It's we personally and we have to do the thing before it happens to we. I've noticed people will do things, you know, but them wait till it happens to them. They must say, Lord, right, justice. I made this, I made that. But you should have waited when it happened to somebody. You should have taken it so personal, like you say. When we get it together, or even now we go march out, that's how we write newspaper, we call radio station. You understand? But nobody now, just like the people, them have too much. If or JPS or we party them in the room. You don't know. You know what me I tell you. You know, no one like they no business.
We have to see where we go on, Bridget. We have to see where we go on.
Another year right now, we and them, you know, so give thanks. Richie Innocent, big up yourself.
Yeah, man, give thanks.
Step into my little more, said we.
Okay, yes.
Yes, Muta.
Yeah, blessed.
Blessed love, alhamdulillah.
Blessed, man, what they are.
Yeah, man.
May I listen to you now, but you listen to your
man,
radio?
No, sorry. Alhamdulillah, I just listen to you if I really me I talk to.
Yeah, man, I use that. Yeah, but you have to listen to the phone to listen to me.
Yeah, you may listen to man, alhamdulillah. You know, when you mention Taki and say, you know, the Minister of Security wouldn't please with Taki. It's like you make me think now one day if you read the book Elusive Yet Real.
If what?
If you read the book Elusive Yet Real.
No, I'm not reading. Who write that? Who write it?
Sister from the upper the university, Sister Sultan.
Oh, no.
Yeah, from the university.
It really?
Yeah, understand? It's about the Maroons. And the city there, the what you call it, Al-Kadulasi or something like that. You understand where the Maroons, yeah. Maroons them did the Moors had always spent for 800 years. And when they came to Jamaica as navigators, you understand, and Taki was also a Muslim, you know, because his name is
Yel? Well, him credit done. Yes.
Yo, Muta, respect.
Oh, all right, so blessed man.
Yeah, first time I'm here. You know what, no? Me just come in and me hear the tape, but it's like, realize me did it for a long while.
Yeah, man, enough time we play it, man. Enough time. The tape we play the most.
When I say, when I listen a while ago now, me did want to find out if the girl really did get out after.
Yeah, that's why I tell the story, man.
Yeah, and that's what she really get out.
Yeah, man, she just put the thing in the rubbish one and the man seats one and the... I thought you know that she get to because she tell the story.
Yeah, because she sound like when she got through the door, you know, one next big door, they did a lock again. You understand?
Yeah.
I say, most likely, and that's how she get out, right?
Yeah.
All right, here one next something I have to say to you now. I can't remember where Angie and name, you know? Cabo, right? She did ask about Dr. Rodney.
Walter Rodney.
So, Walter Rodney, right?
What you ask about him say?
The way him dead, you understand?
Okay.
So me they have a book, but a two of them book that did print. So me they have the last edition, it name Covert Action, I know them 1980 election they were on what the guy named Philip Agee, one ex-CIA
CIA man, yeah.
And them did write the book, the two book. But President Jimmy Carter did ban the last version, part 2. Me they have the part 2. Me lend my friend and
you know get it back.
He get mixed up, you know, seeing. But me don't know if you have any way can go up on the computer. The book they have in a bully patting and everything about Walter Rodney, how they kill him and thing with the walkie-talkie and such like. You understand?
And blow it up and thing.
Yeah, and him head blow and him belly blow out and then he right his head. So them find the man outside the prison with him and them can't identify him because him head blow up. But when you take a stocks really and never they have the walkie-talkie up on head. I don't even lap when him sitting in the car. So when the guy detonate, you know, remote control, he blow out him belly. So that man and them have to write over the whole of the newspaper them.
Okay.
Because them did write it say. So the newspaper, I believe I said it fast burn and most likely I believe
so who write this account? Who write the account where you talk about? Who write it?
Philip Agee.
Oh, the CIA agent. The CIA agent.
Yeah, and some other guys. Them they don't have to, you know.
Yeah, no, I know, man. Them they don't have to do all sorts of things, man.
Yeah.
Alright, we're going to check it out. We're going to check out.
Yeah, man. Check out it.
Give thanks.
Tell her. Yeah, respect.
Yes.